break. Because that's what I think of when I think of B-movie. It's a Patrick Warburton vehicle.
Yeah, I didn't even remember him being in it.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by not the voice of Cinemasins. I'm not joined as always by anybody today. No, I'm joined as always by Music Video Sins Barrett Share.
Hello.
And subbing in for Jeremy today is Jonathan Watkins.
Yay!
What's up?
Who has been here a couple of times before. So we're going to do the format we did last week and just get into some rants, some news, and some all sorts of stuff today.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell!
You've never seen me very upset.
Lord Jesus! Lord Jesus!
Yeah, baby.
So who wants to rant first?
How about Jonathan? Why don't you start us off with what you're angry about?
Yeah, my rant and my news are kind of rants, but I guess I'll go with what I was saying. So, did you guys get a chance to watch either trailer for Death Wish?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You saw both of them? Okay, so for people that don't know, there's a remake of Death Wish, the Charles Bronson movie from the late 70s, early 70s.
That had like 7 sequels or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's like 5 of them.
His whole career.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the original, maybe. I don't remember liking it very much, but essentially this dude, his family gets murdered, and I think the wife gets raped. It's horrible, and then he basically goes on this revenge spree where he takes out the people that did that, but then he kind of starts helping other people, and he starts basically just becoming a vigilante. He basically becomes the Punisher, or the Punisher is I don't know. But anyways, they're remaking it with Bruce Willis, which kind of interested me because I'm like, oh, cool, Bruce Willis in a new big screen movie. I haven't seen that in a while, and it's being directed by Eli Roth, which did not interest me. And so you see they release a trailer for it a few months ago, and so like maybe towards the end of the year, and it starts off like where you see where the wife and the daughter are like having a happy home moment. Elizabeth Shue, I think, plays the wife, not sure who's playing the daughter, and then obviously somebody breaks in, something happens, and it's all like, oh god, and then it cuts to like the hospital, and you see like Bruce Willis, he's the dad and he's the husband, and he's all sad and stuff. And then all of a sudden it kicks into, I believe it's Back in Black. Yeah. And so all of a sudden it's Back in Black, and it's Bruce Willis going around shooting people in the face and making a lot of quips. And there's even like a scene at the end where like, I think he's talking to a psychiatrist, and she makes a comment like, so have you been getting any good extracurricular activities? I mean, you're looking good. And he kind of does his like Bruce Willis smirk. And he has like, you could say that or something like that. So it was really kind of unsettling. It was exactly what I thought somebody like fucking Eli Roth would take the original Death Wish to be, a comedy. He must have thought it was nominated for Best Comedy at the Golden Globes that year.
Right.
And so it wasn't like a huge eruption on the internet, but there were quite a few people that were posting the trailer that were saying, this looks fucking weird. Like, this is a very weird way to handle a rather serious subject matter. And then so this week, I noticed there was another trailer for it. And so I watched it just out of morbid curiosity. And all of a sudden, it looks like a completely different fucking film.
Yeah.
It's very serious. It's very dramatic. It's very much about the, losing your family and how much that hurts you. And it looks more like something, not Lifetime, but it looks a little more along those lines of, we're going to treat this subject matter very seriously. So like, what the fuck movie is this? And I think this is something that I've been having a problem with trailers. And I remember when you guys first started the podcast, Batman vs. Superman was about to come out, and they had released that second trailer where all of a sudden it looked good. And I think I even remember Chris saying on the, that's a weird thing. Like, where did all these scenes come from? Why weren't these scenes in the first movie? And I don't know. I've just noticed that a lot with trailers these days. And I am actually a big fan of trailers. I'm not Aaron Dicer. I don't sit there and say, don't watch trailers. I've actually always I'm not knocking Aaron. That's fine. I mean, that's his thing.
I'm knocking Aaron.
Yeah.
But I've always felt, as a kid who grew up going to the theater, I've always felt the trailers were kind of part of the lexicon. Like, I've always thought trailers were part of going to the theater. That was a big deal to me. But nowadays, I'm kind of almost with everyone else, and especially all this bullshit where we have a trailer for a trailer. I saw the Ocean's 8 trailer was coming out, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to watch that Ocean's 8 trailer. And it was the fucking trailer for the trailer, which was coming out the next day.
Yeah.
And so I never watched the trailer because I was too pissed off. The next day I didn't even give a fuck when
That's
that came up in my feed. I'm like, no, fuck you.
That is the dumbest thing ever. Like I can. Is there really like some sort of marketing thing where they're like, let's drum up anticipation for this trailer so we can drive up our YouTube counts?
That's what the trailer's supposed to do, right? Well, and then not only it's not even YouTube, but you've got like all the websites promote it too. Like they drop it, like here's the trailer for the trailer, and then the next day they drop the actual trailer.
Yeah,
and it's like you have nothing. There's no more interesting news out there than a trailer for a trailer to Ocean's 8.
Yeah. There really isn't. Absolutely.
And
right.
maybe I'm gonna. But my initial thing was just this Death Wish thing. It's really weird. Like you have this one preview where it looks like it's I guess maybe a dark comedy, which for this kind of subject matter and especially in today's climate seems really wrong.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna be like this really serious, dramatic, deep dark thriller, which I just don't believe for the life of me that Eli Roth can pull off. Maybe I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong. I have a feeling it's going to be more like the former, but like the Suicide Squad of Death Wish movies.
Oh,
but,
you think? I don't know. I think it's easier to mine a comedic trailer out of a serious movie than it is to mine a serious movie out of a comedic movie. Serious, whatever I just said.
I know what you're going for.
Yeah, it's probably not even going to be that big of a movie anyway, so this probably doesn't even matter. But I just found it very weird.
No, when we Chris and I saw that trailer, we were walking in. It was one of the Thor Ragnarok or something like that we saw, and just caught the midway through it, and I was like, "Boy, that looks like a discount Death Wish." And it's like Death Wish.
Yeah, that was the
up.
funniest thing ever. Because you're like, yeah, this is like some discount Death Wish, and then fucking Death Wish shows up on the screen. Like, I didn't know they were making another Death Wish.
They've done the Brave one, Jodie Foster, and then Kevin Bacon had one of them too. So it's not like
Death Sentence, which actually the Kevin Bacon one is because Death Wish is based on a novel, and I can't remember the author, but I believe Death Sentence is based on a book by the same author.
Oh.
And I don't know if they're connected in any way, but I know there's something there.
That was that year that James Wan did Dead Silence and Death Sentence in the same year.
Yeah.
Everything was death. Everything he saw was death.
He did Death at a Funeral.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
totally.
think Death Sentence wasn't that bad either.
No, Death Sentence was pretty good.
And I remember it opened up against Halloween. It opened up against Zombies Halloween and just got crushed.
Right.
Like Zombies Halloween just did so well, but that's sad.
No,
Because
I
Death Sentence was way better than Zombies Halloween.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
But I don't know how much of a rant that is, but I don't know. Something about, I don't know, trailers just aren't doing it for me days, and that's just one recently that...
Well, I mean,
you know.
if you really, I mean, for me, what this reminds me of is that Greatest Showman stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Because there were, I say there's 5. It was probably only like 2 or 3 or whatever, but
it seemed like every time there was a different one.
Yeah, every time you went to the theater, it seemed like this was a different take on it and everything. This is one we want to show you the musical part of it. Here's one where we want to show, I don't know, more Hugh Jackman. I don't know what it was, but every single one of those trailers did nothing for me. Every single one.
Yeah.
And in fact, when my family, like my brother and everybody came into town and they's like, okay, well, we've decided we're going to probably watch something like Greatest Showman or Pitch Perfect 3. I chose Pitch Perfect 3. So
I mean, that's a Sophie's choice. Right?
Yes. Although, I mean, Pitch Perfect 3, I mean, that's just innocuous enough that I can sit through that and be like, yeah, okay, there's some funny stuff in here and everything. Fat Amy's going to do Fat Amy stuff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what the whole show is nowadays, is that. But okay, so last week Jeremy talked about the draconian liquor laws of Nashville.
Yes.
And of course we are a movie. We talk about movies here, but it's funny. We got a lot of comments about that liquor law stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't know how many people enjoy like off-topic type stuff or whatever, but I'm going to go off-topic.
Do it, baby. I mean, there was before you start on that, like, people have it worse than us.
Mm-hmm.
There were people in like villages in England that were like, "Oh, we have to get our wine from the mail,
Oh my,
like you know, on Tuesdays or something like that."
That's the dumbest shit ever.
Where do you live?
Well, we have dry counties here too. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Did you guys? No, I listened to you guys. Didn't really get into that. That's the weirdest thing where you can go visit the Jack Daniel's distillery, but it's in a dry county.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can't actually buy Jack Daniels where they make it.
Although the Jack Daniels distillery, you can actually get stuff there because the way they got around it was they have a bottle store. The bottle just happens to be full of stuff.
I say if there are ways to get around these stupid laws, then the stupid laws shouldn't exist.
Well, that's the thing. If you go to the Jack Daniels distillery on Sunday, you could totally buy Jack Daniels.
Right.
But you couldn't. There's no liquor store open. Anyways, I'm sorry. Do your thing.
So I'm going to talk a little bit of sports here. Cool. Because out of all the things, like in the past week that just set me off is how teams who are behind in football games, and we're talking American football here. I know we have international audience here that football means soccer to them, or it doesn't mean soccer. Football is football, and there's nothing else. God damn it! And but American football, like when teams are behind, they always do the stupid crap. And we watched some college playoff this week. Mm-hmm. Clemson and Alabama. So Clemson gets behind. They're behind 24-6, and they've got like 7 minutes left, and they proceed to drive down the field, throwing these little 3-yard passes, and like take off 5 minutes of the clock.
Yeah.
And like, to me, if you are behind in a game like this, you need to start taking a lot of chances. Mm-hmm. You can't just, okay, well, that's the only thing available. I'm not going to throw it 20 yards down the field because it might get intercepted. No, you have to make that. You have to make that choice, because otherwise you're just going to run out of clock. Now, maybe they gave up. There's a possibility they just gave up and they said there's no way. But early on, I saw Clemson throwing balls, and they had some pretty tall receivers who were catching the ball and everything. And it's like, I see this in the NFL a lot too. In the NFL, when teams are behind, they always do that whole thing. Well, we're just going to go with what they give us and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you have 1 minute and 20 seconds left. You have no timeouts. You're not going to get the sidelines. Mm-hmm. So you need to start throwing the ball down the field and like hope somebody catches it, because otherwise, and start doing some trick plays or something. You got to do something like that. You can't just keep doing this. I'm going to throw it 3 yards because that's what they gave us, and then hope you win.
It's infuriating to watch too, because even if you're not a fan of the teams, like we could give a shit about Clemson or Alabama,
right?
But like, just
no
do something
to
for
people from Clemson or Alabama.
Offense to people from Clemson and Alabama. Offense. Total
But man,
offense.
I mean, it's just like do something for my entertainment.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And that was following that fucking amazing Rose Bowl, where like every play was unbelievable, and it's like,
and Georgia had to come back, and they did it correctly. I mean, granted, they probably got a little lucky.
Was different circumstances in that game for them to come back because they had more time. That's the whole thing for me, though, is if you really do truly believe that you can possibly come back in this game, you're down 24-6. You need to start throwing 40-yard bombs down the field and just hope it.
And in college, especially, because the way college kills me, because the rules, they pause the clock after a first down until the chains move, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't even get that in the NFL. So at the very least, throw it 10 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
So at least you're stopping the clock.
It does come back on like almost
once
immediately.
Once they move the chains, yeah. But if you can throw it 10 yards run or 15 or whatever and just get up there, I mean, at least you're losing less time. I mean, you don't even get that luxury in the NFL. I think the NFL partly, though, I mean, the NFL, people are getting paid. It's structured. It's more of a business. I mean, I think some of that, teams that aren't in it anymore just aren't going to play the same just because they're trying to, get their contract, not get hurt. But college, though, I don't know. I mean, they're trying to get to the NFL.
You can see this at any time of the season, though, where these teams are behind and they just do these 3-yard passes. I don't even like. I feel like if you're a coach, you should probably. God, this is such sports radio. I mean, I hope I'm not boring like 75% of our audience.
Coming up, weather on the 8s.
Yeah, but if you're a coach, I wouldn't even have a play where you can check down anybody in that situation. You got to go for it.
We can rant about sports radio too if you
want. Oh my God, jeez.
Yeah. Well, I have a music video related rant.
Yes,
because we're spreading it out on this podcast.
That's correct.
So there are at least three different videos that you can release on YouTube. It's the official audio, it's the lyric video, and it's the official music video.
Yeah.
And it fucking annoys the crap out of me because I don't know if they're doing it to generate views. You don't think that this is a big source of revenue for these pop acts.
It's a trailer for a trailer.
It's a trailer for a trailer, basically. But the fucking official audio comes out. It happened with all the Ed Sheeran stuff that came out this year. Bieber does it a lot. Camila Cabello does it a lot.
We sent a Jason Derulo lyric video, and then the actual video came out like a couple days later, which was worse.
So and the Chainsmokers did this too with their Closer video. We send the lyric video, and then eventually they came out with another one. But like the Jason Derulo thing was really egregious because he was in the fucking lyric video.
Yeah.
It was a video.
And
he was on a boat.
And it felt like a Jason Derulo video.
Yeah, man. He's out there with like his fly honeys and like no clothes and everything. And okay, just call it a fucking video.
Yeah.
He has to release another official video. So you just decide what you're going to do. I understand releasing maybe the audio, but while you're getting your shit together. But if you got a single out, it's like Taylor Swift. She's got 2 videos out for Reputation. Reputation's been out for 3-4 months at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Release like an actual music video. I mean, she didn't do very well in the first couple, so
maybe that's just their way of getting the video on YouTube first before they shoot the other one. Because like the Taylor Swift stuff, she had that one "Look What You Made Me Do" thing that came out was it the MTV? What was?
I think it was the VMAs.
Oh, the VMAs, yeah, the VMAs where she premiered that.
Yeah, because Katy Perry was the host, right?
Yeah.
and then why can't I not think of this?
Are you ready for it? Ready for it?
Ready for it? Yeah, that came out.
Ready for it.
That came out like very like on the heels of that.
Yep.
So I don't think she's got like time to sit there and do all that, but. I don't know what if their strategy was to come out with 3 songs like bap, 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 like that.
Yeah.
They probably haven't shot that video yet.
I guess not.
And that's their way of getting it on YouTube so people can hear it. And then they generate, because now you're getting Billboard, rankings based on YouTube views.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they're doing it now. They don't want to make the seem like the song is not doing well, so they just go ahead and release the lyric video.
I just want videos to get crazier because, working with Barrett on the music video sends, I've noticed, music videos, it's just very different now. And they don't have to worry about MTV not airing their video. We don't have a Madonna erotica thing anymore. I mean, they don't have to worry about shit like or Justify My Love.
Although
they can. I'm not saying granted, I'm sure nudity and cursing still has to be, but they could just do some crazy, very avant-garde.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just really do some crazy stuff with the medium, and it's like Kendrick Lamar. Kind of tests that. Eminem to a point has kind of tested that, but I want to see more.
Yeah, that used to be a big thing. Was that they wouldn't like blur things or censor? Like they still do that. They've always done that where they've like cut out the curse words, and man, is that annoying these days. Like the ones that you listen to where it's like just a word here and there because they're having to cut out so many swears. That is so annoying. And it was lampooned in that Austin Powers, where it's like blah, blah, blah. It's like nothing but silence. And then he's like splooge and then blah, blah.
That was at the end of the time that I was watching MTV, early morning in MTV where they actually had videos on there. It was Lil Wayne was really prominent. And he was the most egregious one, man, because they would cut out, he'd be like, I am a human being.
Oh, yeah. I mean, rap videos.
It's like, fuck, dude. I am not a human being.
Because sometimes they would do like clean versions of the songs, but that was pretty rare. And especially once you got to that point, they weren't. Because I know like NWA did a clean version of Express Yourself and stuff like that, but maybe because they had to. Or they weren't going to get aired at all, which I guess, but that got ridiculous to where you couldn't even like half the video. You don't even know what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
There's one where Migos has the one where for motorsport where like first off they censor Cardi B's like outfit. Like I guess it's because it's like,
oh really?
Because they make it seem like she's like her boobs are popping out and almost are.
Yeah.
But like if you watch the uncensored version of this, there's nothing.
No,
you don't
I haven't even seen
anything.
the censored version.
And you don't see anything. But I guess there's something. It's something in the MTV brass is well. I mean, there might be some people out there like putting their stuff in editing software and zooming in and like figuring out there's a nipple there. And
isn't that Jimmy Kimmel that I don't know if he still does because I don't watch a lot of late night talk shows anymore. But I know Jimmy Kimmel used to do that thing where he would put in bleeps.
This week in unnecessary censorship.
Oh,
yeah. Which showed, and I thought it was brilliant because it just showed
funny.
how ridiculous it can because it looks like something that was completely innocent. He, by putting a blur in there or something makes it look so much worse.
Yeah.
So we had a movie rant, a sports rant, and a music video rant.
That's covering our bases,
That's
baby.
right.
You want to move on to the news?
Let's do it.
News on the mark.
Instead of one big shot controlling all the media, now there's 1,000 freaks xeroxing their worthless opinions.
I like Jonathan's topic. I haven't seen yours yet, but do you want to start?
Yeah, so Barbara Broccoli, who of the Broccoli's, who they
Yes.
do the James Bond movies and whatnot. I guess that's all they do, isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
Pretty
if they're
much
really-
all I know them
They
from.
probably don't need to do anything else. So she was probably sitting up in her mansion and being interviewed by this person, and the question was asked, could there be a female James Bond?
Mm-hmm.
And this got picked up by just a ton of websites and stuff. And it was like you just see the headline where it's like, Broccoli comes out about whether or not there could be a female James Bond. And on some of these, you would even see a picture of an actress. Like you would see a picture of like Emily Blunt or whatever. So you're like, oh my God, are they like, getting into this? So here's what she fucking said. She said, these films tend to reflect the time, so we always try to push the envelope a little bit. Anything is possible. Right now it's Daniel Craig, and I'm very happy with Daniel Craig. But who knows what the future will bring.
Oh yeah. So you're talking about clickbait type shit.
Oh,
there.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we could get on. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That could have easily been a rant because, I mean, clickbait is the most annoying. I mean, this is why I don't read the news anymore because I don't even know if anything's legit. And it's not just movies. I mean, it's sports for sure. I mean, but so she didn't say anything. I mean, she just said what she should say. She said, yeah, you never know.
Considering though, sort of tangent off of that though, considering that they just got a woman to play Doctor Who, that might open the door for stuff like Bond and everything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a great idea. I'm down for it.
Could you imagine a female Bond just seducing the fuck out of
Hell
guys?
yeah, I can.
Just being like, you know what? This is gonna
This is gonna happen.
Well, I mean,
she's
I
at
think
the casino table and she's like, all right.
I'd like to see how some of those scenes in the old Connery Bonds would have played, like if it was a woman instead and a guy that was getting seduced.
Well, we kind of saw that in Atomic Blonde. I don't know if you guys seen
I haven't
Atomic
seen that.
Blonde. You kind of get that in Atomic Blonde because Charlize Theron is very. She's a Bond type person, and there are some seduction scenes to say the least.
Well, the problem with Bond is that it's done in something like Atomic Blonde or Bourne or all these things now where
Kingsman.
it's like where it's like Bond is inessential as Bond. I think.
Right.
Like, okay, it's an interesting conceit and everything, and the whole MI6 thing, but it's just like, it's not needed anymore. If you're going to make a female Bond, just do a different fucking thing,
Yeah, for sure.
The stories are played out. They had the 3-woman, code of like the bimbo, the secret agent, and blah blah blah. And
I think I agree with you. I think though that there, I guess it's more important that something that has always been seen as a male role gets changed into something else. Like, yeah, okay, sure, we can call it something else, but it doesn't have nearly the impact either.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to sit there and think that Charlize Theron is playing Bond in Atomic Blonde. Atomic Bond.
Nice.
But yeah, I would like to see Idris Elba play Bond.
Oh yeah, well, see that was like what last year maybe people were petitioning for them to get Idris Elba to play. I think that'd be outstanding.
Well, as I've said before, I believe on this podcast, like you have these people who are like, oh, James Bond looks like this. He does not look like that and all that. And they said that about Daniel Craig. Like, blonde Bond, blah, 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 blah. And then the movie comes out and they're like, well, okay, I'll go watch it. Oh, that was actually really good.
Except for the poker.
Yeah, except for the poker.
I'm by no means saying I'm not for a female Bond. I am all. I just want a good movie. I don't care how they make that damn good movie. I just thought the article itself was insane. And Barbara Broccoli did nothing wrong. I mean, she answered it as politically correct as she possibly could.
And she's right too. Everything is reflected. That whole series
they don't have
has
any plans
reflected
right now.
The era that they're in. I mean, the 70s Bonds were insane. The 80s Bonds were, more glamorous, I guess, in its time.
Late
more
80s,
campy.
Dalton's kind of got a little darker.
Yeah,
going with all that, what was going on. And then you had I remember the one thing in GoldenEye was that, you have that whole bit at the beginning where, your bad guy is an MI guy that's getting out of, or is a 00 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's
006.
006.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's
Sean Bean.
He's going with the times and is basically like, there's no room for us anymore. And,
times are changing.
Yeah,
James.
times are changing. And they kind of went through this whole thing and it was really interesting. And but then the next 3 Bond movies, they just go back to Roger Moore Bond. And
those are awful.
Oh, they're terrible.
Yeah,
They're
there's
just
that.
terrible.
I guess there's that working theory. Like you may have just touched on that, but just that that Bond doesn't necessarily have to be the same person over. Like James Bond could be just a code name.
Well, that's a theory. Actually, that's a big. I think I read that on Cracked or something. I read this whole evolution of this theory that's come out that Bond is just a name. It's not a person.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it would make sense too that why everybody fucking knows who James Bond is when he goes to anywhere. Like those early Bonds, it's so silly. They go through all this trouble to make sure that he's undercover, but then the bad guys know James Bond is in this hotel room and that they're waiting for him and everything.
And
every movie.
It's kind of like North by Northwest, spoiler alert for a 70-year-old movie.
That's right.
But, it's kind of like North by Northwest where the person they think Cary Grant is not even a person.
Yeah.
It's just they move like suits around the different hotels and make it look like this person's getting their clothes, washed and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I mean you could definitely have that same type of thing. It's more of a a spook story. It's more of a boogeyman that they're creating. Like if you do something, Bond will get you.
Right.
And
I always thought it was weird when James Bond would use his actual name. Like when he's talking at a casino or something like that, and they're like, "Who are you, Bond, James?" Like, what the fuck are you telling him that?
Well, that's why I would say it would go a long way to say. But then once you're that known as that person, don't ever say.
Well, it'd also be fun if they really started playing with a character. Like you have something like Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes has had all these different iterations, and you even had this weird movie from the '80s called Without a Clue. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah.
Where you find out Sherlock Holmes is just an actor, and that Dr. Watson is actually the intelligent one and the one solving the mysteries. And you could kind of do some kind of play on it like that, where I don't know, something a little different, or make different genres like they're kind of trying to do with these X-Men movies, where you may do a Western Bond, do a horror Bond, do a sci-fi Bond, do a sci-fi Bond not called Moonraker.
Yeah,
a lot of ideas.
We fixed Bond, I feel like. Right?
I feel like we did.
Yeah, I'm ready to start the healing.
Definitely.
There was a news story today that Warner Brothers has finally hired somebody to oversee their DC movies. Now, apparently, I didn't know this. There were people overseeing the DC movies.
Was there one person that was?
No, it was 2 people that it says here that it said. Okay, so first off, they've hired Walter Hamada is his name. The studios decided to replace John Berg and Jeff Johns as the heads of the DC movies. Now, I see a problem there because I never heard those names once. Not like Kevin Feige or anything like that.
Well, and I think Jeff Johns was probably more of a consultant because I believe he's actually in comic books. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
He's at DC. This is what the article later says. He's at DC as president and chief creative officer, but his portfolio.
So I don't know how much he knows about movies.
So I guess they had a guy who knew the DC stuff, but maybe not so much movies, but whatever. But that's the thing. Well, and how did Wonder Woman? That's like a miracle to me.
No, man. Well, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, it's definitely Patty Jenkins.
So it's a miracle to me if that's the case. But so they get this Walter Hamada guy, and the Walter Hamada, apparently is the guy responsible for getting the Conjuring universe upstarted and like shepherded and everything, and he's done very well with that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because considering that Conjuring, both of those were huge hits. Annabelle Creation was apparently miles ahead of the original Annabelle.
It's good.
Yeah.
Like, it's legitimately good. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah,
legitimately good.
So he's been doing that, and I guess they've like, well, you have overseen a universe. Let's get you over to this.
I didn't realize he was from that though.
It'll be interesting to see what he, having a like an actual like person who's like actually has a sort of a vision. Hopefully he has a vision. And I read some blurb today, and who knows, that could have been clickbait too, but I read some blurb that said Patty Jenkins said that Wonder Woman 2 is going to be completely different from that first movie. Now, that could be a bad sign. It could be a great sign too, that there's an actual like movement to like, oh yeah, this might actually...
Well, it could be like Captain America though, where because the first Wonder Woman was set in the past. So my feeling is that they would just set it more modern day. And
you could do anything with her though, because Captain America obviously had that period where he was on ice. You could have a 60s era Wonder
80s.
Woman. You could have, really anytime. You could have it, in the future if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of playing around with that character in different eras, and Patty Jenkins seems like she's really the only one up to the task, including Joss Whedon, for directing a good DC movie.
I would like to see Joss Whedon get his hands on a movie that's all his
well,
own.
is he still involved with Batgirl? Is that even still happening? Do we know?
The last I heard it was.
Yeah.
But you can I don't know if this was part of his this Hamada hiring, but James Wan is doing Aquaman.
Oh yeah.
So there is that too.
Yeah, that I believe that's in the can.
Yeah,
pretty
so
close
it
to,
may
'cause I
have-
think it's coming out in December.
So it may have not had anything to do with him,
Yeah.
but it was just somebody that they knew they could rely on to do that stuff. But
Yeah.
I think that's very important for them. To have a Kevin Feige type that's like going to be like, all right, this is what we're going to do for the next 10 years. Let's make the movies accordingly, instead of like just this mess, man. It just doesn't seem like anybody really knows where it's going.
I mean, the only problem is, Feige just, not just him alone, but everybody involved with the Marvel Universe. Whether we like it or not, they change movies. They change just the way everybody's looking at how they're going to do their franchises or just movies in general. They just change the way people. I'm not saying it's like Citizen Kane or something, but right. I'm just saying there's been a shift in the way movies are made.
Yeah.
I'm not just that there's more superhero movies, but just movies in general. And
there's now everybody's thinking of the franchise, which is. It's very hit and miss, and we've already seen that with The Mummy. You're gonna have somebody who has a vision for that. And I don't know if there was anybody who had a vision for that, that dark world, dark universe.
No, it was sketched out on a cocktail napkin.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who directed The Mummy.
Oh, I don't either.
It's completely escaped my
I've
mind.
forgotten too.
Yeah.
Eli Roth.
Yeah, it was totally Eli Roth.
That's why I fucking hate it.
With a guest appearance from
nice
Robert
person.
Rodriguez or somebody. Go for it.
All right, so I'm going to change it up a little bit. I was going to talk about the Logan Paul bullshit. I'm going to put that,
well,
hold off
apparently
on that for a little
stepping
while.
away from YouTube.
Yeah. That. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more. But my movie news thing, and again, could be a rant. We are out of the Last Jedi takes at this point. Okay.
Yep.
So what I saw this week was a Twitter post from Screen Rant. And they are the worst offenders of this Jedi take. The Last Jedi is the Batman v Superman of Star Wars.
Oh, that was one of, I read that. That was one of the dumbest things.
Oh,
after the week after,
people are entitled to their opinion, but that's some bullshit.
Was that in the title?
Yeah, that was the title.
There's more clickbait.
Exactly. And they had
wrote that
screen.
article. They wrote that article in order to infuriate and inflame. That's basically what that comes down to.
Okay, I get it. Like, this is a divisive movie. We've talked about the movie before. We liked the movie. Chris and I liked the movie. Did you like Last Jedi?
I did. I am not the Star Wars fans you two are. And my wife and I both are in the same boat, and we both liked it. We thought it was a good movie. I was shocked that I thought I thought Star Wars fans were just loving the hell out of it. I was shocked to find out it was so divisive.
Right. And yes, there is a lot of stuff to tease out.
I thought it was good.
We've teased it out many times and everything, and we've essentially moved on. Of course, I'm talking about it right now, but I'm talking about other people talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like, every take does not have to be like a hot take from a fucking sports radio show.
Mm-hmm.
You can just say, like, okay, here's what I didn't like about it. Here's what was good about it. Here's what we're looking forward to. And that's all I want to read. I don't want to read the comparison between fucking Batman v Superman and The Last Jedi. First of all, there is no comparison.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's insane to even make that sort of connection. But the fact that we're still talking about this like in a ratings generating type of, or clicks type of way, is just annoying to me, and I want to mute it.
And people saying it's the worst movie of the year, or it's in their top 10 worst movies. If that's true, man, I think you saw some great movies this year, because you sure as hell didn't see bad ones. If that's your worst,
They didn't see Justice League.
They didn't see Bye Bye Man, or Boss Baby, or Unforgettable,
Boss Baby. No, I mean, you do have to make a good title to get people to click on things. Click. The idea of clickbait being a negative thing comes from, for me, when you click on, this is like what Jonathan was talking about. When you click on something and the article's contents do not match what's in that clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you write something that's, now that article you're talking about probably actually had the contents of what that clickbait was.
Yeah.
But that was, to me, that's just asinine. That's like one of those asinine things. That's it's another kind of level.
Midnight when you're drunk, like, oh man, this totally.
I mean, weird.
It works.
Cinemasins is constantly, accused of doing the clickbait because we say everything wrong with in our. We do it on every video.
Yeah,
it's literally the title of the program that we do.
Yes.
And so yes, when you're on YouTube and all these things, you have to have something that connects to people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say, here are things wrong with this movie, or some comments about Batman v Superman. You have to say something that's a little inciting.
Yeah.
Everything wrong with, and then people go, okay, yeah, all right. People judge books by covers, man. It's they do that, so that's why you had to do that. But like in your example, I think that's just asinine for the sake of getting people incited.
Yeah, that was where I hit peak. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
And I feel like the weirdest thing about what I've read and what little I've read of The Last Jedi, hate, I guess is what you'd call it, or disagreement, is that it seems like a lot of fans, when it came out of Force Awakens, had ideas of where it was going to go, and where it was going to go. This Rey's parents thing has become a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they had ideas of where it was going to go. It did not go where they thought it would go, and they're mad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because a director and another writer that were making their movie didn't do what they wanted them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they picked up their toys and went home.
And, and forgetting also that all those things that we learned in this chapter can easily be written out in the next one.
Absolutely.
And I have a feeling that many of them might be.
Well, and I'm really, and that's the thing I worry about. I want Disney, I want Abrams and everybody involved with this. I want them to do whatever it is they want to do, because if you start trying to please everybody, you get Suicide Squad.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing that people I don't think understand.
Or Fantastic Four.
About anything that you do creatively is that yes, you can't please everybody. We had a sort of decision to make with Cinemasins early on, like, do we keep on doing everything wrong with, or do we start doing everything right with? Of course, somebody already made that fucking decision. But we were trying to figure out, do we do that or not? Okay, we're going to stay on the negative tip. And then then there was a decision. Do we keep making videos that are longer or shorter? And every choice you make alienates some segment of your.
I used to love Cinemasins when they were 5 minutes or less.
Oh my god! and those people are probably a significant chunk, but not the majority.
Yep.
But they come out and they say stuff. And this is the same thing with Star Wars. I feel like the majority of people probably like it. But people, like, nothing more stark. We talked about this. The showing that Barrett and I went to, almost nothing. Crickets during that show. That meant all the Star Wars fans, because they came and see it on Thursday, came and saw it. They didn't like what they saw. That Friday night show that I watched, where it was probably a mixture of Star Wars fans and then people who were just kind of, I like Star Wars. Yeah. That was a completely different experience.
I wish I had seen it.
There was. Well, I swear to God, the theater I go to, I don't know. Like, they clap at everything. Like they clap at like the end of the Bye Bye Man. They're like standing up and clapping. So, but I do remember at the end. I went to the Friday show at our theater close to where we live, and it was, people were just loving it. You could tell people were just really into it. In fact, I felt kind of bad. I didn't like it as much as they did. I mean, I liked it, but I was just like, I'm okay. Like, I'm going to go do something else now. That happened.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I can still live my life.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing I don't think people realize. Disney's in this Star Wars thing for the long haul.
Yeah.
If they do come out with one that just ends up being a giant turd, everybody agrees with that, they'll come out with a new one the next year, hoping to get it back on track.
I wonder if Rian Johnson's going to really last this whole new trilogy, though.
Oh, my God. Disney is seeing these comments and wondering, because I guess if you're looking at it, you're going, man, he alienated the Star Wars base. But does it matter? Our movie made nearly $600 million already.
It's making all the money, so it's like, all right.
It's made $1 billion worldwide already.
Already? Holy shit!
Yeah.
Han Solo is going to be interesting, though, or is it Solo?
It's just Solo.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
The Han Solo movie. Wasn't Rogue One called that, too, though? Wasn't it called a Star Wars story?
Yep. Yeah. They're going to be doing that with everything.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting, though, because it opens, 2 or 3 weeks after Infinity War?
Oh, yeah. It's coming out
That's going to be really interesting.
May? Yeah, it's coming out in May.
I think it's coming out it might be the Memorial Day movie. Yeah. Right around there. And Infinity War, I'm pretty sure, has got that opening weekend of May, like most Marvel movies do.
I'm going to take a look.
I do wonder because, releasing the Star Wars movies around Christmas is a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you don't have that kind of blockbuster run. And I still think Solo is going to make a ton of money, but I wonder if it's going to do as well as it could have if they had released it at a different time.
Well, that's the thing, right?
And I wonder if it's going to move.
They're getting this great configuration every time they release it in the middle of December, where they get, school is getting out. They have that week leading up to Christmas. They have a whole week after that.
They have all of January.
In January, there's nothing that's going to compete against it. That's exactly how Titanic ended up making its money, was doing that exact same thing.
Well, yeah.
Infinity War comes out on the 4th of May, and then Solo is the 25th.
So it's got 3 weeks.
It's got 3 weeks, and I think Infinity War will have died down enough by that time that they can. It's still a tight window.
Yeah.
That's still probably a 50 or 60 million weekend for Infinity War, if it's good, if it's any good, if people actually like it, because I think that's going to be one where fans go see it a bunch of times.
It's a what now?
I said if Infinity War is good, I'm saying I think that could still be a 50 or 60 million that weekend.
It'll make more than that.
By the third weekend?
The third weekend?
I see what you're saying. The opening weekend is going to be...
Oh, yeah. No, it might be the highest grossing
It could
weekend.
be. I think there will be fatigue and everything, which will make it not as high as like that at first Avengers, but it's 150 at least. You can already go ahead and put that in the bank.
And I just think it's going to have a lot of rewatches if it's any good.
I tell you what else is interesting though is that God, we can already talk about summer. I mean, the summer is very strange to me because you have that Solo movie coming out on the 25th. The week after that is Deadpool 2.
Oh man, that's
and
crazy.
Jurassic Park's like a week or two after that. Jurassic Park's in June, isn't it?
Yeah, it's later in June.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of stuff like Ocean's 8's coming out right after that, and then The Incredibles 2.
Well. Oh, that's gonna do well.
And then Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. That trailer looks awful.
One of the worst.
And then Sicario 2. I didn't know that movie did well enough to get a sequel.
No kidding.
I have a hard time making an opinion on a preview, but I will say, because Jurassic World, I actually like. I mean, I cannot disagree with any negative opinions that you guys say or anybody else, but I had fun with it for whatever reason, and I've watched it a few times, and I've always had fun with it. The preview to the sequel, God, like they could have gone in just any fucking direction they wanted to. They had a movie that was like the third or fourth highest grossing movie of all time, and they could have done anything they wanted. And what they decided to do was have them go back a few years later and save the dinosaurs from a volcano.
Right.
Like, we could have gotten off that fucking island.
Mm-hmm.
We could have had, like, dinosaurs in New York or dinosaurs in Tokyo or
I guess,
whatever.
You know what? You know what's probably going to kill that dinosaurs in a city thing forever is the Lost World.
Yep.
Hell yeah, probably.
That San Diego thing probably fucked anything that we'll ever see with dinosaurs in a city from now on.
But that scene where he sees, like, oh god, that fucking trailer. Where he sees blue again or whatever. Oh.
Yeah. It looks terrible.
Oh, it does. Hopefully it's not. I mean, I want it to be good, but
yeah, I want everything to be good.
I know, I agree.
I want everything to be good because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my time when I go to the movie. But that's real. I did not know that until just now that Solo comes out a week before Deadpool 2.
That's crazy.
That is going to be insane.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's even,
and it's almost like Deadpool 2, and that's like a future Disney property.
Yeah.
Going up against a Disney property.
Oh, I didn't even think about it like that.
And so like it's almost like they just let's see what we can do to Star Wars because that's gonna fuck it up, man.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna fuck it up.
That should be the high. That should be the highest.
Yes,
that might end up being the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Well, it's always hard to because Last Temptation's so far up.
Well,
there.
and that first one,
second at
that
least.
first one nearly did beat.
Oh, that's true.
Nearly did beat it, and
because it hasn't surpassed it, has it? I don't think so.
But it's up there. But yeah, should be very interesting.
It's gonna be.
By the way, you're talking about the
gonna be a fun summer.
The Passion of the Christ, not the Last Temptation of Christ.
I am talking about the Passion of the Christ. Last Temptation of the Christ, huge bomb. Did not make any money.
That's right. Yep.
If only they had Mel Gibson.
That's right.
I have more money in my wallet right now, I think, than Last Temptation of Christ made.
That's right.
And I don't have much in my wallet. So
we all know what happened to Last Temptation of Christ. It was considered blasphemous before it even came.
Wasn't it
great
rated
movie,
X
though.
at one point, or they were considering rating it X?
I don't even know about that.
I don't remember
Something
that,
about
or they were going to release it. Not, there was something going on, but I actually saw that for the first time a couple years ago. Great movie.
I actually like it.
Yeah,
I like
it's
it a
very,
lot.
very
I
good
like it a lot. How about some recommendations from this week?
Totes Amazeballs.
They're great.
It won the Academy Award
Oh, for what?
for Best Movie Ever Made.
I recently, in the last probably week and a half, I watched A Ghost Story.
Mm-hmm.
Have either of you guys seen this?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Casey Affleck plays a guy who through a terrible accident ends up dying, and he comes back as a ghost basically. And what's interesting is that he's wearing a sheet the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So he's literally like the classic ghost, and Rooney Mara plays his girlfriend. And so the first part of the movie kind of takes place like the first few minutes of the movie and stuff. You get to know them together and stuff, and then the accident happens, and then it's her by herself for a while, and he's there. She obviously doesn't know he's there, so it's very Ghost in that way, but it's very, very different from Ghost. This is a movie, though, that is going to be very divisive, and it's actually a movie that I didn't know how much I liked it when I watched it a couple weeks ago. But I haven't been able to stop fucking thinking about it since, and and I really want to watch it again, to see what I think this time, because there is a centerpiece to this movie that is very jarring, and up until that centerpiece, not a lot. I can completely understand. A lot of people are going to say nothing happens, and you are more than entitled to your opinion. But it's a very good, it's just a really cool mood piece. Like, it's just very interesting to watch all this stuff unfold, and you never know exactly what's going to happen next. And it's just very cool. I don't want to get into I don't know if that'd be a spoiler, but other people come into this house because basically you find out like he's kind of stuck in this house. Like, if you choose to not go to the other world, you're stuck wherever you were. And so other people kind of come through this house, other families and whatnot. And there's like this centerpiece section that I've read, and it kind of threw me off for a second too. Thinking back, I think I like it more. And it's really hard to talk about this because you don't want to give anything away. But that, I think that's going to be the part that kind of divides people on the film, other than the people that just aren't going to be interested in it because not a whole lot happens.
Well, and then you have Casey Affleck.
Scumbaggery. That is a problem I have, and that is one problem I have with the movie. Because this has been a year where all of a sudden I've tried my hardest to be the separating the art from the artist and all that, real life, and that's become very challenging this year.
Yeah.
And that was another problem I had watching this movie. It was just, every time I'd see his. That's good. He's covered with a sheet most of the movie.
Next Woody Allen movie just covered.
But it's a really cool. And then it kind of takes a turn after this. What I'll call this centerpiece. It takes a turn and it goes in a completely different direction that I wasn't expecting. So all of that was very interesting. It's a very well told story.
Yeah, this is something that I've heard about a few times this year, being good, but I didn't know where to see it.
Did you see it in the theater?
No, I did not see it in the theater. I missed it. I actually, I just checked it out from the library. It came out on DVD like a month ago or so, and I went to this. There's this place called the library.
Oh,
they have books.
That is awesome.
And they have movies, and you can check them out.
You can go to this place
yes.
and check out
yes.
books. And
What
movies?
is this sorcery?
Yeah,
it's crazy. It is crazy. It is sorcery.
Why have I been buying everything?
No kidding.
But
Your place is basically a library too.
That's true. So true.
I got enough of that too. But
well, it's talking about the Blu-rays that I have in the room next door to
The collection.
I was talking to some people, and I know a few people who like to pirate movies, and they do all that type of stuff, and there's some people who are talking about Movie Pass, which you can see anything you want for what nine something.
I'm doing Movie Pass. I like it a lot.
Well, somebody asked me if I had Movie Pass, and I said no. Now it would make total sense for me to get Movie Pass.
Mm-hmm.
But in the job that we do as, Cinemasins writers and everything, I kind of feel like obligated to buy everything at full price and everything, sort of giving back to an industry that sort of gives us a lot.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of trash out there, obviously, the industry itself sort of sustains what we do. Mm-hmm. So,
if there's no movies, there's no cinema.
That's correct. And so like I go and I'll buy stuff that I know we're not sending sometimes. I know we won't be sending some of these movies, and they're all in that collection and everything. Someday I'll watch it. It'll be
There's
like
a lot of unopened.
There is a lot of cellophane.
And I do a lot of blind buying now too, and it's mostly a lot of these studios that are releasing like special editions of DVDs, like Kino Lorber and Scream Factory and Shout Factory and Please Lay. They're just releasing these movies that some of them have never even been on DVD before, and they're releasing them on Blu-ray, and it's not something you can just rent on Amazon. It's not something you can find. And so they've got it for $15. It's like some random 70s Elliot Gould movie I've never heard of. It's like I like Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
And though there's crime or
right.
I watched this.
That's what it's titled.
I got this movie called Who. It's just called Who. I've heard of everything. I've never heard of this movie. It's from the 70s, and it's just Elliot Gould and this robot. It's like this weird sci-fi movie that Kino Lorber released, and it's
Happy birthday, Polly.
Yeah, and it's awesome. But
Rocky IV reference, nice.
But if I don't know if I made any of a ghost story sound interesting. It's really hard to get into.
No, it sounds interesting because you can't explain a lot of the things that are in it.
And I know some people are just going to be like, fuck you for making me watch that movie. But I didn't make you,
No, I mean, it sounds like sort of the type of conundrum you'd have sort of recommending Mother.
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 Or Personal Shopper, which is a movie we saw that I love.
Personal Shopper is another one, that you can't go into a lot of the things that are in it because it ruins it for people, but it's also not a movie that's easy to recommend and say, you guys are going to love this, because Mother, I can guarantee you, no matter how many explanations you get for that movie, there's people who cannot.
Oh, I agree. It. I just watched that. That just came out on DVD, and I just watched that too. I thought about that one as well, but I just liked Ghost Story a little more, and I knew less people had probably heard of a Ghost Story.
Mm-hmm.
But movies like Mother, A Ghost Story, Personal Shopper, I just wish people would just watch them, because because there's probably 90% people out there aren't going to like them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep giving movies like that a chance, they'll keep getting made, and they don't all work. But I'm still all for stuff like I still don't even know what I think of Mother.
Well,
but I'm glad it was made.
Luckily for us, some of these movies are not budgeted out the ass, so that like just the smallest amount of money can get at least break even sometimes. So you hope that. I don't think Mother did, but
no, but it had a studio behind it. I'm shocked that movie got made, because it's not like Aronofsky. I always say his name wrong. It's not like he's made like these blockbusters. In fact, Noah, I'm pretty sure, was a pretty big.
Might have been his biggest movie was Noah,
and it didn't do very well at all. I don't think it did.
But it might have been his biggest.
If he had put an exclamation point at the end.
Noah! Yeah. Noah!
I think that would have done well.
It hadn't put aliens in it.
The Paramount came out after Mother, like, sort of tanked on that first weekend, and they were like, we're still proud of what we did. And I was like, yeah, but you got to understand something. you marketed this movie as the scariest horror movie ever made.
Oh, you thought you were going to go see Rosemary's Baby 2.
Yes.
It's not Rosemary's
and
Baby
so
2.
you got a whole bunch of people. That's some clickbait right there, man. You got some people like lured in on that, and then you're shocked on Friday night where people are going, no.
And Atomic Blonde, which Atomic Blonde is more of a straightforward action movie, but Atomic Blonde was interesting because I just watched that not too long ago, and it kind of suffered from the same problem in that when John Wick Chapter 2 became a hit, I'm pretty sure they went in and said, we're going to cut this trailer to where it looks like John Wick Chapter 2 with a woman. It is not John. I mean, it's not even like that. Like it's seriously more like a Bond movie or more just like an 80s Cold War thriller.
Yeah.
It's nothing like John Wick Chapter 2. It's not wall to wall action. There are action set pieces. But so I know that hurt that movie because people went into that opening weekend thinking, oh, this is John Wick with Charlize Theron. That's cool. And then it wasn't. So they're like, oh, this is stupid.
Yeah. So I have a couple from Netflix again. I've been ripping up through some Netflix,
Yeah, you have,
and
man.
of course I also went to Hulu this past week too.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, man, breaking out the Hulu. It's about time.
I'm glad I'm not the only one with a cable package that actually has Hulu.
Yeah, exactly. I sometimes I'm like, yeah, why? Okay, well, there's they are coming out with original programming, and the Handmaid's Tale has gotten a whole bunch of like critical awards and everything like that, including nominations, Golden Globe nominations and stuff like that. So I didn't want to watch this for the longest time because I just assumed it was some period piece bullshit, and I can't get into that. Like I have to be romanced to get into.
You're talking about Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale.
Have you read the book?
No.
Okay.
And I had no idea what it was about or anything. I just saw the bonnets and shit, and I was like, nah, fuck that. And
romance me.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I when I found out that it was set in the future and everything, I was like, oh, I might be interested in this. So I ripped through Handmaid's Tale in like 3 days.
Jeez.
That's interesting because I've heard that's a really hard one to binge. Like,
oh, really?
Like a lot of people have said that's when you kind of got to sit back and like let it sink in.
Oh no, I banged that thing out.
Good to know. I read the book. The book is
no pun intended, by the way.
The book is great. It's also pretty disturbing.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I've heard they don't hold back.
Yeah, this whole thing is pretty disturbing, but I really like Elizabeth Moss. I thought she was great in Mad Men, and especially the way her character sort of changes over the years and everything. Starting with that like demure Peggy that's like throwing herself at Don at the beginning and getting turned down and all that, to walking down the hallway with the sunglasses and the cigarette and everything. So
she's really good.
I love Elizabeth Moss.
Have you seen I cannot think of the name of it, but the movie she did with one of the Duplass brothers.
Yeah,
I think it was with Mark.
Where they have their
double
copies.
Yeah, their copies. Oh god, that's so good.
I haven't seen that, but
and we can't tell you what it's called.
Yeah, exactly. but go and find Elizabeth Moss and Duplass brothers and get it.
I am on fire today.
That's right. I did binge it. And yes, it is disturbing. It is something where you're like, holy shit, I can't believe this. But I don't know. Seems I don't know when this show came out originally. Was it over the summer or was it?
It was earlier in 2017. It was spring
it's a
or
2017 show. I feel like it's been on Hulu for like nearly the entire year. So maybe it's been like almost a year it's been on there. But, in this day and age we're living in, that Handmaid's Tale stuff, like there's some scary things, some scary thought process.
I've heard that. What is the big overarching conceit?
Like all the stuff before this all happens is told in flashback. Uh-huh. And the flashbacks sort of show this world before all that happened and everything. And there's just this like more... you can start seeing like more permissive, less politically correct type stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Like there's a point in there where before everything is really changed, Elizabeth Moss and her friend is played by Samara Wiley, who's in Orange is the New Black. Mm-hmm. They're best friends, and they go into a coffee shop and they ask for a coffee or whatever. And the guy behind the behind the barista or whatever ends up just calling them sluts for basically no reason. Like it was like they asked. I don't remember what the initial reason was for it, but it wasn't anything big. He just started calling them sluts, and they were like, "Excuse me, like this is the type of society we're like in now." But can think about, in the next, like think about a year or so, whatever, like some more permissive type of like, yeah, we'll just call whatever. We will just call it as what it is. You guys, these girls are sluts or whatever. Like this is before they really know anything's kind of like going down. But there's this pervasive thought. You can see these like, these men of power who are discussing how this new government is going to be. Basically, they don't like the current government. They want to overthrow this one, and it's probably for what they consider good reasons. I don't know if it doesn't get into all the specifics of all that. But they obviously don't like the government as it is. They're going to overthrow it. And as Josephine says later on, like, yeah, we wanted to change the country for the better. Doesn't work for everybody though.
No, yeah.
It's just for a select few people that it's going to be good for and everything. I think anybody who sort of puts in their head, we're going to overthrow the government, is going to have their own like ideas that are fucked up too, but it works for them. So it doesn't matter who else they mess up. So that's sort of the idea, is that some group of people hated the current government. They overthrew it. They put in their new government, and it's more Christian based. It's a fucked up kind of Christian based though, like way more fucked up than you would normally think of, and like the political correctness and everything like that's out the door, and like people are getting stuff spray painted on storefronts, all the homophobic slurs and stuff like that are there and everything. There's not much. They don't think there's much racial type stuff, but it's kind of hinted at a little bit. There's not much about, race in there per se, but all the guys who are in charge are. Is
it more about oppressing women and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. But all the guys who are in charge are pretty much older white guys and everything. So there is a subtext there. There is a subtext there that's basically saying, yeah, I think black people are like not. Yeah. But there are black women in these things and in the handmaids stuff and everything. But they're just there because they can birth children, basically.
I gotcha.
And so I guess in a way, describing this show, I've buried the lead a little bit. That's what they're here for, is to give procreation, because much like children of men, there's babies are becoming scarce, and even when women are pregnant, they're losing the pregnancies more often and everything like that. So yeah, buried the lead, but I think the question you were asking was how did it get to this point and whatever. That's the reason why they're there. And there's also discussions that maybe a lot of these guys are not capable of fathering children. But it's against the law to say that.
Interesting.
And so like there's like these probably perfectly capable wives. Oh man, it's so fucked up when it's so fucked up how they do the whole the ceremony, they call it, and there's even a discussion as to why it's called the ceremony and everything. It like so casually and that they describe how this happens. It's so fucked up. You're sitting there going, oh wow, they don't really even care what they call this a ceremony, but that whole ceremony's fucked up because and I'll let you guys watch it if you're not onto this yet. I am a year behind on this show, so many of you have probably already seen it. But yeah, there's so many like fucked up ways of thinking in this, and I don't think this kind of government is like right around the corner. But you can see the thinking of that kind of government coming around the corner.
I remember that was the big discussion when this came out. It was like,
and it was obviously shot well before what's going on right now. And what's going on to some people is nothing, but to a lot of us, it's frightening.
To the rich white guys.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Anyway, I really like The Handmaid's Tale. And the other one I'm going to bring up is Black Mirror. Season 4 came out last week. I nailed that in like a day. And love Black Mirror, man. I love that show so much.
It is really good, but I don't think I'm on season 2. Like I just watch it every now and then. And I know it's an anthology, so I don't know how much that matters, but I'm just so OCD about stuff like that. Like I have to start from the beginning. So I'll get there eventually, but I'm loving it. I mean, that's why when they said Jordan Peele was doing a new Twilight Zone, I was like, don't we kind of already have that with Black Mirror? But although I'm all about Jordan Peele doing anything he wants to do.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Black Mirror because I've watched maybe 4 episodes of that, and this is the 4th season that just came out, right? And I was really interested because there's so much talk about this USS Callister episode, the first episode in the season. And again, they're not sequential or chronological, so you can watch one and it doesn't have anything to do with the other, right? This is a fucking brilliant episode.
Oh, yeah.
Everything about this episode is subversive.
Is this the Star Trek kind of looking one?
This is the Star Trek looking one. Yes.
Okay.
It is.
I haven't seen it.
I love everything about this episode. The acting is amazing. Jesse Plemons, who some people have called Meth Damon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He looks exactly like Damon, but with the meth part of that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. He looks so much, but not like Matt Damon.
I mean, he would play Matt Damon in a Matt Damon biopic.
I'm sorry, but you mentioned Jesse Plemons. Have you guys seen the preview to Game Night?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
I don't know how to explain this if you haven't seen the preview, but I don't know of course, you never know the context of a scene in a movie, but there is this scene where they go to this house where Jesse Plemons is, and it's like dark behind him, and he just says something to them like really weird. It's like Jason Bateman's in it and a bunch of other people. It looks really funny, but he just says something to him really odd and obscure, and then he just kind of backs into the darkness.
Yeah, he's like, I love playing games with people and doing things.
Yeah,
and as he's doing that, like he's fading.
And then Jason Bateman's just kind of looking around like, are we supposed to follow him?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the context of that scene is, but just based on that like preview, that might be my favorite scene in 2018.
Yeah, he is amazing though. The premise is that this guy is the head of a tech company, or he designed the code for their tech company, and he has this fascination with the Star Trek type of show.
Yeah, it's like Space Fleet.
Yeah, Space Fleet. And he'll correct somebody when he does that.
Right.
And he also created this Infinity thing where it's like virtual reality on steroids that he does too. And Kristen
Milioti.
Christine
Milian?
Christine
I
Milian.
wore off on you.
Miliani, who was in How I Met Your Mother and all that stuff.
Wolf of Wall Street.
God damn, she comes in and just is electric. But the main star of this thing to me is Jimmy Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
And Jimmy
Jimmy
Simpson
Simpson's great.
plays like
Jimmy
the other
Simpson.
partner.
He is a treasure.
I don't know why he hasn't been bigger.
No, I think he's as big as he can be.
He's a very character actor and everything. He's really
there
good
was
looking.
a period there where he was in everything.
Yeah.
Like he was on
He'd be on every TV show. Like he'd pop up in an
It's
episode.
Always Sunny. He was I mean, it was like a million different things.
House of Cards he was in.
Yeah.
He played a serial killer on Psych. Psych is more of a funny thing, and it was funny, but it was also very creepy. Like he was. I was like, oh man, he could play an awesome serial killer like in a straight movie.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I mean, in this, like, because of the Black Mirror context, like, all bets are off. Like, they can do anything in this universe, and it's hilarious at times.
Yeah.
The ending is one of my favorite, like, hilarious endings
I think
I've ever seen. And it's smart, and they can get away with all this terrible shit that they say. Like, there's one point where the female character says, "Stealing my pussy is a fucking red line."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jimmy Simpson's like, we tried to bump our mounds together for a while and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so fucking great. Even if you're not a fan of Black Mirror, which I am, but I just haven't found myself the time to watch it like Jonathan. It's totally worth watching.
I will say, if you want to get into it and you are you like to start stuff from the beginning, I would really recommend not starting with the first episode, because the first episode is what made me not want to watch it.
Well,
for a while.
the first episode
my
is
God.
is the prime minister who has to like either fuck a pig or the princess, or it's the princess. The princess dies if
somebody's gonna get
if
killed.
he doesn't
oh,
do
God,
this.
that just
And everything. So like the whole episode is like, is he gonna do it?
Yeah.
Is he not? Oh my God, I
and
don't
then
know what he can do.
There's like a shot of him entering a room, and you see the pig just standing there, and it is like one of the saddest shots
yeah, it really is.
I have ever seen. I was like, I do not like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then you go watch the second episode, and the second episode is the one I highly recommend you starting with, because that's the Daniel Kaluuya episode.
Yeah.
So,
That's a great one.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, hard recommend. What are some warnings that we would give to people?
Until
Johnson.
I'm going to go ahead and get mine out of the way because I over this past week, I don't think I've seen anything and nothing really recently other than, like I said last week, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen anything recently that I was just like, man, you guys cannot watch this. Like most of the movies I've watched, I've either liked or like I've been like, it's okay. But the worst thing I saw in this past week was the Saturday Night Live that came on just before their break in 2017. So Kevin Hart was the host on this.
It's terrible.
And I watched it and I was like, so the first few are the ones where you get a gauge on whether this is a decent episode or not. And I was like, it's kind of, and even the Weekend Update wasn't all that good. After Weekend Update, oh my God, the skits were so horrendous.
Really?
And I this is one of those where I was like, I've got to see what the IMDb says about this particular episode. It's the lowest one of all the ones that have come out in the past year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like 5.9, which is really too high in my opinion. One thing I've got to say for Kevin Hart, though, is that guy goes into everything he does.
Oh, yeah,
just
for sure.
Full on. It doesn't matter how unfunny it is. I got to give it to him, man, because this is some stuff that he could have easily just said, fuck this, and just like went his own way with it. But that episode may have been the worst thing I've seen on Saturday Night Live.
I don't know how much of this season you watched. This season has not been good.
Yeah, I've only watched an episode here and there.
I see. I hate to be this because I always get irritated when people would, use those people that would say like, "Oh, Saturday Night Live hadn't been good for 20 years." Like, well, you haven't fucking watched it in 20 years. You don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, and I am watching it. I mean, we DVR it, so we watch it every time there's a new episode. But I found I fast forward more than I normally did. Weekend Update's a great example. I mean, Colin Jost and
Michael
Che, they seem like nice guys, and I'm sure but that's like one of my least favorite pairings on Weekend Update ever.
I think they're rounding into form personally.
I don't know.
I like them generally. This one,
I'm not saying they're never funny.
No.
Yeah, but
This I generally like them. I just did nothing in this episode was clicking.
But it might even be the Weekend Update, like the guests and stuff they have on there too. Like that might not be as funny.
I have to forward through every one of those. Those piss me off.
We're not getting like Stefan and stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, they had this last one. They had Omarosa, who of course Leslie Jones comes in and plays Omarosa, and like there's nothing there. She's just playing. Okay, you're Omarosa. I get it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I don't find the Trump stuff particularly funny. Alec Baldwin does a perfectly fine job. I just think it's really on the nose and it's really broad. And it's just not as cutting as like I think back to like Will Ferrell doing George Bush and even what they did with Obama and
he's already a caricature.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's like maybe he's National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. It's like it's hard. It's hard to make fun of funny things, like goofy things.
It's
and,
I mean it's all. I mean, they.
I don't know what but it's just not.
It was funnier before he was president and everything. Like what he was doing because everything there seemed.
But that's just usually their bread. It's just usually their bread and butter, like and I just it's amazing me that I find I fast forward through that a lot. Those opening sketches because I just don't find them funny. It's nothing to do with the political preference.
Well, and the one right after the Weekend Update was Kevin Hart and Leslie Jones show up to some house. And like she stands under mistletoe and she's like, I'm standing here right now. You got to come up. And Kevin Hart's like, I don't know if I can get up right now, blah, blah, blah. And then she ends up making him practice on a big, huge teddy bear or some shit. And this is a long skit. I was like, after he started kissing the bear, I was like, okay, done. I'm done with this. This is not funny at all.
And there's talented people on there. I mean, Leslie Jones is a very talented person. Kate McKinnon is excellent.
Love Kate McKinnon.
She's, since Kristen Wiig, I don't know if there's been a better female person on there. I don't know. It's just not funny.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're just in a dry spell.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe the cast just doesn't clash, even though you're really talented. Doesn't mean you clash. Well,
I don't get. This is something real superficial. I don't get really excited about it anymore because it was Don Pardo who was the voice that used to do the new guy now who announces the people who are on the show. Like even that, I'm not excited to like.
It's
Daryl Hammond.
Daryl Hammond.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. And
But yeah, he doesn't have the weight.
Yeah, you need to have somebody like, it's Saturday Night Live.
And
You need to have that.
And there's an interesting thing because Daryl Hammond actually does a really good Trump.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So just have him fucking
Yeah,
do
might
it.
as well.
Yeah.
But I think Alec Baldwin is so grandfathered
I know.
into it. But not only is it stuff like that, but like when he's announcing some of these names and you see them, it's like, Kyle Mooney, and Kyle Mooney's fine. But, like some of these names that they show up on there, you're like,
Kyle Mooney is kind of an Andy Kaufman, though, in a way to me. Like, I don't like his stuff is really interesting, but it doesn't.
I picked the wrong person.
Sorry.
This
No,
is some,
no, you're fine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's other people on there that they announce the names to, and you're like, I'm not excited. Yeah. It's kind of like when you see something from the 80s Saturday Night Live, and it's like maybe Joe Piscopo, and then after that, it's like, people who never did anything again.
But what I'm saying about Kyle Mooney is, I think he's a talented dude. I don't think his stuff gels with what they're doing on the show, though. So it is kind of odd. He does kind of feel out of place. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen Brigsby Bear. I've been really wanting to see that lately because I keep hearing stuff on these people's top 10 lists. Mm-hmm. That seems to be kind of one of the surprises that pops up on a lot of people's top 10 lists. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
Just something as simple as that. Sometimes you're like, I'm not really excited about this.
That's
like there doesn't seem to be heavy hitters in this lineup. And I know that there's some in there that seem to be a little bit more talented than they're letting them be. Like I think. What is her name? Is it Villasenor? What's her Melissa Villasenor? Is that her name? She was new last. Yeah, it's Melissa Villasenor.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
I've seen her do impressions. Like there's a video of her doing impressions, and she's like spot on a lot of these things. And they let her do it on a couple of skits last year and everything. She could easily go in and be a star, I think, on that show, but they're not letting her for some reason. Either she likes writing more than acting, or I don't know what to do with her because we're there's 80 Bryant's doing fine and Kate McKinnon's doing fine, but you need to put in some new people every once in a while, give them a chance to be stars.
I agree.
They're not really doing that with her. Maybe she's not as good as I think she is, but everything I've seen of her, she's great, and they're not giving her much to do.
What's your warn?
My warn, well, it's two movies. They kind of go together. I think I'm a horror movie fan, but over the last couple of years, which I think, and as a horror movie fan, I agree with what all the other horror movie fans are saying. I think we're in kind of a golden age of horror. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there. There's a lot of Babadooks and It Follows and The Wailings, and there's all these, The Witch, and there's, whether you like them or not, they're still interesting. It's like all these different things. It's not just the traditional, boo scares and jump scares and all that stuff. And even on the big screen, you've got stuff like the Conjuring films, and even, like I said, that new Annabelle movie somehow was borderline great. But there's been a couple recently that I have heard on a ton of like the horror movie podcasts I listen to. I know Modern Horrors are fans of these movies, and a few other ones I listen to. And I don't know if I'm becoming less of a horror fan or if I'm just an asshole. But
or both.
Or both. Mm-hmm. But one of them is The Babysitter. Have either one of you watched this yet? It's a Netflix original. Have you heard of it?
Oh, no, wait a minute. I may have seen this.
It's the satanic cult.
Yes, I have seen this.
So I saw the preview to this and I was like, okay, that looks kind of fun. It's very like Evil Dead-esque. It's really over the top gore, and it's really goofy, and it's essentially this babysitter. For those who haven't seen it, there's a babysitter who's babysitting this kid for the weekend while his parents are out of town. He's, in love with her or whatever. And it's, she's actually played by, Samara Weaving, which is the best part of the movie.
Yeah. It's like, Hugo Weaving's niece.
Is it really? Oh, I didn't know that. She's amazing though. She's also in 3 Billboards.
Yeah.
She played Penelope. She steals every scene she's in that movie too.
Yeah.
She's so good. She's also in a movie. I haven't seen it yet, but there's another movie out right now called Mayhem that's supposed to be really good. But anyway, so the babysitter, so they're getting along or whatever. And then he goes to bed. And basically a friend of his says, you never know what she does after you go to bed. So he decides to make himself stay up. And then when he sneaks down, he sees that she has a bunch of friends over, and they're playing Truth or Dare, or Spin the Bottle.
Yeah.
And then they end up brutally murdering one of the dudes. And I mean brutal. Like I haven't seen this much blood since probably Evil Dead, just going everywhere. And then from there, it kind of becomes he finds out that they're into some kind of cult thing and they're trying to keep themselves young or something. I don't know. It's not really a twist, so I don't think I'm giving anything away. But
I will say this, and I did not know that's where it was going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like I watched this completely without knowing anything about it. I saw Babysitter. I saw a hot girl. I said
it is in the trailer. So I
didn't watch the trailer.
I know. I'm saying, but that's why I didn't feel like I was giving anything away. But it is in the trailer.
And I said, okay, I'm going to watch this. So
did you not even know it was a horror movie?
No, no. I think Netflix does say that it's a horror movie. It does,
yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this. I see a hot girl. It's horror. I'm going to watch it. And so like, yeah, I watched it and I did not know that was where it was headed. Now, yeah, trailer. If you saw a trailer, then I guess you know.
And it doesn't take itself seriously. It's one of those movies that people are going to say, well, you're being a dick because it's over the top on purpose. And I think that's like the worst excuse ever, because a movie still has to work like within its universe. Mm-hmm. And this movie just, for me, it just got completely out of hand. I didn't think it was funny. I will say I did hear that the script originally it was a pretty hot script. I know a guy on a podcast that works for Blumhouse said that he was trying to purchase it and then found out it had already been picked up. But I don't know, and so maybe the script changed, because I will say McG directed it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And and it's very McG. If Charlie's Angels was Evil Dead 2, I think you would have the babysitter. So I don't know. Right. I had zero fun with this. I thought it was a drag. I mean, I don't know if it's really a warn against, but I'm kind of if you're not really into horror movies, but you keep thinking this is one you might want to try out because you see all these people saying, no, this is a good one. Trying to temper your expectations a little bit. The other one, which I was really sad about because I was really excited to watch, was, and I know Jacob and Luke both, they recommended this when they were on the horror episode recently, and it's called Better Watch Out. Have you seen Better Watch Out yet?
No.
So I was really excited about this because it just looked like I like home invasion movies, which is weird because I think that's like my biggest fear in life. Maybe that's why I like to watch them, because it scares the shit out of me. And I heard this was a home invasion movie with a twist. And that's exactly what it is. And the twist came, and this is where I think you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And for some reason, everybody except me seems to love it. But when that twist hit, I completely got off board.
This is another babysitter movie.
This is a babysitter movie. That's right. It's a babysitter taking care of a kid around Christmas, and shit starts going down. And you think that there's some kind of home invasion thing going. There might be some people outside. You're not really sure. And then about 20, I mean, it's pretty quick in. It's like 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
You're going where you're going. And two of the people in it, the main girl was the main girl on The Visit.
Yeah.
And then her brother in The Visit plays one of the side characters, the rapper from The Visit. And all the acting is fine in this. It's very well made. But all I can say about the twist, and it's not, the movie is disturbing in a way, but it's not like there is some gore and stuff, but that's not what I'm talking about. But it's just the way they handle the twist, what happens, where this movie goes, to me just left me very icky. And I was not having fun. I was on board for about 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden I was completely off board. I was not having fun. I wanted to take a shower. I wanted to have nothing to do with this.
This is one of those warnings that make me want to see the movie.
I know, and you should see it. I'm really curious what you think, and I think, I'm really curious what you think, and it's not like I'm making this all of a sudden sound like it's like Last House on the Left or something. It's nothing. It's nothing like that. But I can't explain what I found so icky about it without giving away the twist. You know,
Yeah.
And I think most people are just going to be like, you're weird. Like, why does this bother you? But it's just, I don't know. The movie goes places I was not in the mood for. I kind of just wanted it to be a traditional home invasion flick once it went there. But I give it credit for doing something different. I will say, though, Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen played the kid's parents, the kid that's getting babysat. And there is this I thought I was going to love this movie because there is this great scene towards the beginning where they're about to go to a Christmas party. And Patrick Warburton walks down. He's carrying this box of ornaments. This is what I love about movies. I love when movies do this. We never see the ornaments, but we know there's something about them that Virginia Madsen finds very off-putting. And she's like, you are not putting those anywhere near the tree. And he's like, oh, yes, I am. And he starts carrying. And then she just turns to him and she's like, are you sure that you never fucked a guy? Like, are you positive like there wasn't a random college night where you just sucked a guy's dick? You know, and it's just brilliant. It's just so funny. And I wanted the movie to be about them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, can we just go back to them? Can we see what they're doing at the party?
Yeah.
But
All right. I also have a Patrick Warburton movie.
oh, interesting.
B movie. Meme all you want to, people.
That's not
This
a good
movie is fucking terrible.
Because that's what I think of when I think of B movie. It's a Patrick Warburton vehicle.
Yeah, I didn't even remember him being in it.
Yeah, he's in it
for sure.
Matter of fact,
Is he
a
the
lot of
villain?
the old Seinfeld, Michael Richards has a cameo basically in it.
Talk
So
about creep.
Yeah, exactly. I saw this back in 2007, and I remember really not liking it. Didn't remember a whole lot about it, but then it got so much, pardon the pun, buzz,
Right.
for like just the whole you like jazz type of thing, and like the memes on there and everything. And
What was the meme again?
it's some sort of copy pasta thing. Don't ask me what that means, but it's shit posting. It's all these like these
Yeah, I
these
didn't know what that
terms
was
that
either.
I'm still trying to figure out. But it's basically shit posting. Like if you're trying to make somebody feel bad about reading this or
Okay.
that kind of thing. And that's what this is used for. It's almost like a Rickroll type of situation.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
yeah, it's,
Wife and I love the Rick rolls.
Yeah, exactly. So I went through it and watched it, and it was even worse than I remember it being.
Oh, yeah.
It is completely nonsensical.
Much
The
like most
Seinfeld
DreamWorks
stuff.
movies.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's Seinfeld, and you think Seinfeld, Matthew Broderick. There's a lot of vocal talent like involved in this, and I love Seinfeld.
Sort
I can
of
watch Seinfeld all the time.
What it was being sold as was this Seinfeld's like first big project after Seinfeld. Steven Spielberg's behind this.
Mhm.
This is the meeting of Seinfeld and Spielberg together at last. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
Like we've been dying for that. But like it's these two heavy hitters in Hollywood and
Rich people getting
right.
together,
Yeah,
making
yeah.
a movie.
Exactly.
rich people. And so like they so when that was announced, I was like, oh, but then when you see that it was called B movie,
Mhm.
I was instantly just like, this is not going to be good. I saw it in theaters. I
And
knew it wasn't very good.
when did like Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon come out? Because wasn't this around kind of where DreamWorks was actually doing pretty
Yeah,
well?
Kung Fu Panda came out in I think 2000.
So it was a little-
Well, and then they had the
2007.
Shrek stuff too.
Well, I mean, the Shrek stuff was popular, but I'm talking like critically
Mhm.
appraised films. I mean, Kung Fu
Yeah,
Panda
Kung
and How
Fu
to Train
Panda
Your
was
Dragon.
2008.
Yeah.
And How to Train Your Dragon was, I think, 2010. Yeah, 2010.
So I mean, there was reason to be a little positive that maybe they're just going in a different direction. They're going to do something different to differ themselves
I
with
don't know.
Disney, and it feels like every fucking bland animated movie.
It's even
that you've
stupider.
ever
But B
seen.
movie did.
It would fit right in with 2017.
B
animated
movie
movies.
did come out before those two movies.
It did,
And,
it did.
And this was still at an era where they were doing Shark Tale. And,
Oh God.
the Shrek movies started getting progressively worse. These were. I mean, this was in an era. I thought Kung Fu Panda was finally like, oh, this is what they can do.
So good. It holds up too.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so good.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, avoid it at all costs. But you can watch the Cinemasins video that just came out
That's right.
last
Yeah,
Thursday.
I was surprised. 'cause
Shameful plug.
I remember
That's
when Chris sent the schedule out and that was on there, and he said, Barrett talked me into it, and I was asking Barrett about it, and Barrett's like, oh yeah, we get that recommended all the time. I was like, B movie?
Every video,
Like, I
at
just
least
had
one
no
comment.
idea.
Well, it's like when we first launched the channel, we got tons of, because this was 2012, we got a ton of requests for Ted. And I was like, Ted? Interesting. Like, we have done comedies, and we've probably done really crazy comedies, maybe crazier than even Ted is. But at the time, I was just like, man, what are we going to pick at on that? It's just...
You ever get any recommendations for Digstown? Is that a big one?
Oh yeah, Digstown.
We're
for
gonna
sure.
do that one. Okay,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Raising
and,
Cain.
and that one, that Gladiator, that before the Russell Crowe
Yeah,
Gladiator.
yeah.
We get that.
Oh
too.
yeah, with the dude from Few Good Men.
Right. Yeah. We get that.
Hal.
Yeah,
Hal.
they're like Gladiator. They're like
It
Gladiator.
was that dude. It was the different Twin Peaks and
Yeah. I know you're talking about
James Marshall.
Yeah, it's like Gladiator, the 1992 version,
Yeah,
not the
that's right.
2000, the inferior 2000.
Marshall Gooding Dennehy.
Oh,
Well, there was also I Am Legend, right? That was a big requested video.
Yeah, that
did
was for a
really
while. I
well.
mean, now that was a big hit though, so it was understandable on that one. But yeah, we would get like some really some strange requests. But Ted was a big one. Like
Yeah.
we still haven't done Ted, and I don't know if we ever will. But
When they do Ted 3, we'll tentpole that.
we'll try. We'll try.
Comedies are hard. I mean,
They
you're
are
making
very-
fun of a comedy. That's hard.
Yeah,
That's not
very
easy.
hard to do. I mean, if it has enough like drama and action stuff in it, you can kind of do it. But Ted,
And you can't even do the whole thing about like, oh, the bear's alive. Oh, 'cause-
right? Yeah.
Why is this bear talking
Yeah.
right now?
So he makes a wish, and the bear comes alive. That's bullshit.
You want to do fantasy casting?
I do want to do fantasy.
No stars. No stars.
I want Bruce Willis.
Not Bruce Willis. No Schwarzenegger. Julia Roberts.
This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
I've never gotten to
Okay.
do fantasy casting.
This is very interesting to me because we came up with this idea to do this on a regular basis a couple of weeks ago, and before we released the last episode, somebody emailed us and said, boy, I really wish you guys would do a recasting of Fargo. Now, Fargo is a good idea for many reasons. First of all, it's been out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We all love it. Of course, they did the TV show and everything. But
He
we're
probably
right-
meant the TV show, and he's going to be like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah,
for
exactly.
doing the movie.
We are right in the middle of the fucking bomb vortex thing. What is it called?
Bomb cyclone? Well, no, bomb. Oh my god, what the fuck was that called?
It's
bomb
Cyclone.
something.
It's
Cyclone,
it's
right?
Bomb cyclone,
It's the
right?
coldest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
And we're right in the middle of it. It's cold as shit outside, even in Nashville, Tennessee. It's snowing in Charleston. Dogs and
What-
cats
you know-
living together.
You know what's funny? Did I not say this when it was 60 degrees outside?
Uh-huh.
I told you. I said, right now it's 60. Nobody's saying a goddamn word about the weather right now.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, as soon as it turns cold, we're going to get everybody coming out of the woodwork saying that climate change isn't real.
Yep.
Because it's cold.
Yep.
And as sure as fuck,
January.
what happened? Yes.
Yeah, it's cold in January. What's wrong with people?
Yeah,
That's weird.
Exactly, so weird. But like, it's and it's a more extreme cold, but that doesn't really matter to
Yep.
a lot of people. Anyway, 60 degrees in fucking December.
Yep.
And like, I was like, there's not a peep from anybody right now. You watch though. Soon as it's fucking cold, everybody's gonna come out.
Well, it was
like,
so
no
cooling.
climate change, no global warming.
Yep.
It's snowing in Tallahassee.
That's
I
right.
saw those pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about we recast Fargo?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a pretty perfectly cast
Okay,
film,
so-
but we can screw with it a little
So
bit.
I recasted episode 4, season 2. That's what we're doing.
Like it.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
I like it. Very nice.
Go
Very
for
nice.
it.
Oh, am
Go
I
for
going
it.
first? No,
Yeah.
so I'm doing the 1996 original movie.
Yes.
And this is going to be the 2008 version. So, okay, so I guess we got to start with Marge because, she's the big one. And that's a hard one. I don't know. I mean, that's an iconic role. Like, that's
It
just,
is.
like, you can't picture anybody else playing that role other than Frances McDormand. So I just went with a great actress. I wasn't even thinking about, like, accent or anything like that. So I just went with Jessica Chastain.
Mm-hmm. I'll watch her
Oh,
on
yeah.
anything.
I think honestly, and I can't wait to see Molly's Game. I'm hopefully going to see that this weekend. I don't know if there's a current actress that I'm more excited to see, like that I will just go watch in anything.
Right.
And it might even be just actor.
Mhm.
Like, she's just top of my list right now.
Yeah.
I don't even know. She's just so fucking charming,
Mm-hmm.
and she's also like can be badass.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch something like The Help, she plays that kind of character very well, that kind of ditzy, but also has something going on, behind there. So I just think she'd just be a great actress. I just
she's
think she would
perfect.
knock
She
it out.
would-
It would be a completely different take.
It would be a different take, and we would be on board with it, and we would recognize Frances McDormand as the one who originated that role. Jessica Chastain would be just like maybe not Heath Ledger's Joker to Jack Nicholson's Joker or anything like that, but it would be another
She could
take
pull
that
it.
we'd love.
Definitely.
All right, Jerry Lundegaard, which is also
Mr.
somebody
Lundegaard?
I don't know that I could picture anybody other than William H. Macy. We're gonna have a really hard time with
Yeah.
this movie. So I went completely off. I mean, I still think this is somebody that would give a very similar performance, but I went with Daniel Kaluuya.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think he would be great at that. Just kind of like the I don't know if it's frantic, I guess would be the way to put it, but where the part where Macy's scheming, but he's not good at scheming.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. So he's just grasping at straws and whatever. Because I mean, the scene with him and Frances McDormand, every time I see it, the scene in The Office, every time I see that scene, I just take something new away from it. But them just acting off each other it's just one of the greatest scenes ever in a movie. And I think Kaluuya, is it Kaluuya? Did I say that right? I think he could definitely tackle that kind of role very well.
Do a lot check right now.
It's a little bit of a
And
younger Fargo.
I don't think anybody would be comparing the two either. So I think that would be good. You get somebody a little different. Carl Showalter, which was Steve Buscemi.
Yep.
I don't know why. The first thing that popped in my head, I just went with it, was Channing Tatum.
Interesting.
Now that would change the dynamic of like him being funny looking.
It's
and
real
all
funny
that.
looking,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
now that's true. Yeah,
but you don't need that.
But it was the first thing that popped in my head, and I just went with it. I don't know if it's because I just saw Logan Lucky, but I don't know. So I guess I'm sticking with him. But Channing Tatum's a good actor. He's likable.
totally.
This is a definitely younger Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until now. Is it Guy Ayer? I don't even remember how you pronounce his name.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Peter Stormare's
I don't
character.
even know if that's ever
Peter Stormare's character.
It's even said in the movie.
Which I
isn't
almost
it?
just
think
wanted
so.
to say put Peter Stormare back in.
Right.
But I went with Michael Shannon.
Oh, he's
that's
perfect.
good. Yeah,
Michael Shannon, just because he scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like I haven't watched it yet because I'm sure it's the god awful movie, but he's got that movie. I think it's on Netflix now. It's like called Pottersville or something.
No, I have no idea.
It's like this. I've heard like crazy stuff about it. It's supposed to be god awful, but it's like this Christmassy feel good movie, and it's like this amazing cast. It looks like a Lifetime movie, but it's like this amazing cast, and Michael Shannon is like at the center of it, like of a Christmas movie, which sounds like the most terrifying fucking thing
Yeah.
I have ever seen in my life. So Michael Shannon, I don't think anything needs to be said there. It's just that would be perfect. Gene Lundegaard, which this would be an odd marriage pairing, would be a lot of fun. I went with Judy Greer.
Okay.
I think Judy Greer would just nail that. And
She doesn't have a lot to work with
and
that character.
Daniel might like an older woman. You don't know.
Yeah.
And I love me some Judy Greer.
Yeah,
man.
Judy
and
Greer's awesome.
I think every movie could use Judy Greer.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Jurassic World could have used more Judy.
Oh, for sure. But I'm just picturing her, like the scenes where Jean is trying to get away from them and like kicks them, and she's got they put the the pillowcase over or whatever. I just picture all that. I don't know, that feels very Judy Greer. Like Judy Greer could totally handle that.
Ungwent. I need ungwent.
Wade Gustafson or whatever. If Barrett sticks with his
Gustafson,
you took mine. If you stick with yours, I'm just saying that's who I would have picked.
Uh-huh.
So I went with Liam Neeson.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's wanting to get away from these, old man action movies, and The Commuter supposedly is the last one. So I could see him doing something a little smaller, a little fun, just getting to, yell at, Daniel for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Norm Gunderson. Got to be honest, John Carroll Lynch is having kind of a renaissance right now. John Carroll Lynch played
he was in
Norm Gunderson. He was in American Horror Story as the clown. He was recently in a show that I like that I almost put on my recommends called Channel Zero. He was in The Founder. He was in a great horror movie from a couple years ago, The Initiation.
The Invitation.
The Invitation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is The Invitation. The Initiation is an early 80s slasher film with Daphne Zuniga.
Yeah.
Completely different movie.
I really like The Invitation. I really like that.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a cheat. But what's weird, and I didn't even think of it this context, I went with Nick Offerman. Now, Nick Offerman and Jessica Chastain, fun couple, right?
Yeah.
But I thought he could kind of play that, you got Arby's on you or whatever. I thought he could kind of play that role really well. But what's weird, Nick Offerman and John Carroll Lynch, brothers in The Founder.
Ooh.
Didn't think about that till after the fact.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, I don't know. They don't look alike.
I
so
love
I
that
don't
relationship in Fargo.
Yeah, it's great, isn't
so
it?
unexpected.
I would actually, and maybe that would make it, maybe you don't need to do this, but I would almost want more of that if they did do like some kind of reboot or remake or put them on the show. Because I just don't think there's enough of it, but maybe that's why it works.
They're
Norm probably
they're
needs to
so
jump.
respectful of each
Yeah.
other. There's
Oh my
no
God.
arguments or anything. It's like, it's like he's like, yeah, they announced it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, you're Mallard? He's like, it's on the 3 cents. It's just the 3 cents.
And then I went ahead and decided to cast Lou as well, Marge's partner or whatever. So, and this is also just an acting thing. I just love this guy. I want to see him in more stuff. Titus Welliver.
Yeah.
Bosch is one of my favorite current shows, and Titus Welliver is just, he's just a great actor. And he would nail, he's a good, I mean, obviously with Bosch, maybe that's a little too predictable, but he's very good at playing a cop.
Mm-hmm.
And so just would love to see him.
And an island demon.
That's true.
That's
and
right.
an island demon.
Yeah.
Good Lost reference 10 years later.
Indeed. We can't we can't resist
We're on a fucking roll
doing fucking Lost the past few weeks.
Friend of the show.
Yeah,
Lost.
friend of the show Lost. Damon Lindelof, not so much. So I have for Marge Gunderson, I have Kristen Wiig.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I of all the people that I could think of playing this role after Frances McDormand, I was like, okay, Kristen Wiig has got that. I don't know, that she can do. She's known for comedy, but she's done a lot of good dramas that I don't think people realize and everything. But she can do. I think she can do this Marge really well.
You know what this would do would be to rein her in a little bit. When she's reined in and she's not doing the Target lady and the Gilly and all that shit, it's like you don't have to stutter, stammer through everything.
Have you seen the Skeleton Twins with Bill Hader? That's a great example. It's not a great movie. It's a good movie. It's not a great movie, but she's really good in that.
Yeah,
they
both are. She and Bill Hader.
Oh
great.
yeah, Bill Hader. Yeah, excellent.
So yeah, I think she can do this. For Jerry Lundegaard, I have Bryan Cranston.
Love it.
Nice.
I think of all the people in this would be a good. Now it'll be sort of an opposite of what he played in Breaking Bad, where he seemed to have the answer for everything in Breaking Bad. In this one, it's opposite. He doesn't have the answers and everything. And we saw him do that, like that play that role in Breaking Bad where he's like lying to his family and he's all like, well, I had this stuff in the oven and, all this stuff happened and blah, it's bullshit. Like I could see him.
There's rot.
Yeah, exactly. There's rot. Yeah. I can see him doing all this bullshit like that, but being bad at it this time.
He'd be a good Wade too.
Yeah, for sure.
You can go either way with
I
him.
originally thought maybe possibly Richard Jenkins for this role.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of like Cranston better in here because Jenkins at this point I think has kind of like cozied himself up into this one particular type of character at this point. And so like even in The Shape of Water where he's playing, I mean it's a little bit different, but it's still Richard Jenkins.
Richard Jenkins is unreal. I forget about him because it's just there's no effort. He's just good.
Yeah.
I mean, other actors must be pissed off at him because you make this look way too easy.
Yeah, he does. He
looks like just like somebody you'd meet at a cafe and you just start talking to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy.
For Carl Showalter, who's the Steve Buscemi role, I have Norman Reedus. Calling back to what we did last week, Norman Reedus definitely
that's a much better pick than me.
Definitely could call him funny looking if they wanted to.
I like that pick a lot.
I do too.
I think he would play that really well. For the Peter Stormare role, which I'm not even going to bother trying to get this character. Geyer.
Grismrud.
Do they even really say it in the movie? I was trying to remember.
I swear to God, they never say it.
It was on Barrett's agenda, and I'm like, is that his name?
Yeah,
that's what they show. That's what they show is credited, but like I don't think if they do say it, it's like in real quick passing. Yeah. But I'm going to have David Harbour from Stranger Things.
Love that.
That's great.
That pick.
Yeah, so he's going to. Yeah, you're at this point now. When you think of big, imposing characters, you're thinking Michael Shannon. You're thinking David Harbour at this point.
He's going to be Hellboy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he's going to be Hellboy. Yeah. For Jean Lundegaard, which of course that wasn't a big role or anything, but probably have a little bit bigger actress playing in my remake than they did in the movie. Like I look back on the actress who played Jean in the original, and she doesn't even have a picture on IMDb.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
she doesn't even have a picture. But I'm going to put Leslie Bibb here. She's
nice.
She's she's obviously really cute, but I think she could play like she's still not big enough that she needs to have a huge role.
I get her. That's Will Ferrell's wife
in Talladega Nights.
I get her confused with somebody else.
She's in Iron Man, the reporter.
She's great. Yeah, I like her a lot.
Yeah, I really like Leslie Bibb, and I think she could play this pretty well. And this isn't a huge role or anything, but I think she could play it. Wade Gustafson, I'm going to have Harrison Ford.
Whoa, nice.
You're talking about somebody at this point in his career that's always just seems surly.
He is pissed
and
off,
gruff.
man. Yeah.
And I love Harvey Presnell in the original. He's a perfect freaking, that's a perfect casting. But now, you think about Harrison Ford, is like, doing that role. I think he would do that, especially like the parking lot scene, like, no Gene, no money. No Gene, no money, no tickets. And for Norm Gunderson, I have Henry Thomas. Let's bring him back.
Cool.
Henry Thomas.
E.T. Henry Thomas? Yeah, man.
Oh, what's he been in recently?
I don't know.
I feel like I've seen him recently, and I don't remember where, though. So
Bring his ass back.
Yeah,
That's an inspired choice right there.
Bring him back. I was trying to think of somebody who's around the age of Kristen Wiig. He's a little bit, like 3 years older.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and what is his name? The guy who did the original Norm.
Oh, John Carroll.
John Carroll Oates.
Carroll Oates, sorry.
Yeah, I believe he was only in his 30s when he did that.
Oh, really? He's just kind of got that evergreen old look.
Yeah. But
he looks the exact same now.
He does, yeah. But I was like, who would be with Kristen Wiig? Like, it's hard to put like a lot of real like super like leading men there. Of course, you can't do that with this role because it's a smaller role.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be somebody who can fit that smaller role, somebody who you can be realistically. And to be honest, when we do exercises like this, I want to be able to say a name that people know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So if I come up with some name, like some really obscure character actor, you're going to be like, oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was awesome standing over there in the corner.
Yeah. So that's a minor flaw when we do these
Hail
castings
Caesar.
because we always have to come up with, I think, people that really
recognizable.
Recognizable. There was
that's like you had Bradley Cooper playing somebody really small in Die Hard. I think I don't remember who it was. But.
Yeah, we did one where I think it was the Star Wars, where I had a recasting of Star Wars, where I had the all black cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming up with all these actors, and I was like, "You've heard of them, right?" And you're like, "Nope."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, Gugu and Bath are raw, man. You got to know who I'm talking about." That's the only other thing about this. Sometimes you're like, "God, well, this is such a small role. Who do I put in there?" And you know who I'm talking about.
But you're also exposing people to, some lesser known actors too when we do these. So yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
All right, I've got some odd picks in here, but I think it could all work. I've thought through this a lot. For Marge Gunderson, I think Margot Robbie can pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen I, Tonya yet. It is here, right?
It's on.
It opens Friday.
I was about to say is like it's in the next week or so.
Well, what Margot Robbie's shown is she's like Australian or something like that, right? But she can pull off a motherfucking accent.
Mm-hmm.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
there's the stuff in I, Tonya
she
that
sounds
I've
like
seen.
She's straight from New York.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Even in Suicide Squad, when she's kind of all over the place, like she committed to that role. And I think she's a much better actress than we initially gave her credit for.
No,
she's
see,
so
you know
gorgeous.
what? You know what? There is one of these recordings in these podcasts. I have said that I think she's a good actress.
Uh-huh.
She's great.
And yes, it is tough to a lot of times because you feel like she is being cast as that hot girl. Even in Wolf of Wall Street,
oh yeah,
she's being cast as that hot girl or whatever.
But what's different is, there's a bunch of beautiful women, but she takes over that movie. That's the difference, and you can tell she's a good actress in that. You can tell she's a star.
Where I thought that she really truly broke herself away from that Wolf of Wall Street, that initial I guess impression of her. It was in a movie like that wasn't very good. It's Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
I was starting to remember the name of that movie.
And,
no, she is good in that.
And I saw that, and I believe right after I saw that, that's when I said, I think that she's actually good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is very hard. Like right at the beginning, you're like, she's just eye candy, I guess. And she does that eye candy thing well in Wolf of Wall Street, but then you go back and watch Wolf of Wall Street, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, man.
I'm over all the her being hot.
She's
thing.
good. Well, even something like Focus, where even Will Smith's got that larger than life persona, and she totally steals that movie from him.
Yeah, I still need to see that.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
All right, for Jerry Lundegaard, I'm going with Sam Rockwell.
yeah, I like
That's
it.
a good one.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell. Oh God damn, he's a good actor.
Yes, he is.
I mean, every time he's in a movie, I love his performance. I don't know if I've seen anything that Choke was kind of weird, I guess, but like,
yeah,
He might win an Oscar this year.
yeah, 3 billboards.
yeah. He's terrific, and he could definitely pull off that like exasperated Jerry Lundegaard. I'll go do a lot check right now.
Yeah.
Do
I have a last name? You don't know.
Do
I?
All right, so
what the Christ?
here's where it's Gene. Wait, it's Gene.
It's Gene.
Oh my God!
Oh,
it's
I don't know
Gene.
what to do. It's Gene.
Don't know what to do. So for Carl Showalter, this is where things get weird. So Buscemi's character, I'm going with John Boyega.
Okay.
All right. Now, obviously, he's known mostly as Finn now,
Right.
From Star Wars.
He's not funny looking.
He's not funny looking. That's true. But he was in Attack the Block.
He might be better looking than Channing Tatum.
Maybe so. But in Attack the Block, he was really, really good, and he was
so
completely different from
good.
that
Yeah.
Finn character. I haven't seen a whole lot of what he's been in, but I think he's shown a lot more range.
Which also
than
has
just that.
the new Doctor Who in it, Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, is
in
that
it.
her?
He's really good in
Yeah.
Detroit too.
I
Yeah.
still need to see that. I got that the other day. So
Nice.
I need to-
Yeah, I really want to see that too.
It's good. It doesn't.
But I think he could pull it off. Now, here's a real wild card for the Peter Stormare character. I'm going with Bill Hader.
Okay.
I actually thought about Bill Hader for Jerry Lundegaard, but I think he's good here because he has such a fucking range. You go back and watch those Saturday Night Live skits where he's the old reporter and everything.
Yeah.
You look at
Those
the,
are awesome.
the
Talk
stuff,
about good Saturday Night
Herb,
Live.
whatever his name, and
Herb.
and you look at the stuff in Documentary Now where
Yeah.
he's just so malleable.
God, I love him. In that.
I think he could stay still and have that same sort of intimidating posture as Peter Stormare does. And I would love to see him play a nearly silent performance. I think he says like 3 things in the entire movie.
He could just do the
Um,
2020 guy.
Yeah.
Well,
oh no.
Just from the part in Superbad alone, where like the dude in the party spits on him, and he turns around and looks at that guy and just goes over and hits him with the club. Like you can see that in him.
I think he could totally pull it off. With Gene Lundegaard, I'm going with Kate McKinnon. Yeah, it's a small role, but she could definitely like own that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to watch her in more stuff. For Wade Gustafson, Wade Gustafson.
Yeah, this is
Wade
brilliant.
Gustafson.
Everybody's got a weird name. Lundegaard, Gunderson, Gustafson.
Exactly. I'm going with J.K. Simmons, man.
Love it.
Do you think they're almost? Yeah, I like J.K. Simmons a lot. I'm sorry to interject, but with Gunderson and Gustafson being so close together, do you think that they're like making a weird incest joke there with like William H. Macy's character and
I don't know, man. Like all these,
they're so close.
yeah,
together.
all these Midwestern names are, I guess, Polish, German, whatever, and they all kind of sound like this type.
Maybe
of
they
thing,
knew
so.
Cinemasins was coming, and they were like, "Good luck sending these names, assholes."
Yeah.
Exactly,
they
Gustafson.
did. They did.
I'm gonna pick up on Gustafson. For Norm, I'm going with the classic husband character actor John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I mean, come on, he could pull that shit off, and
Yeah.
he's going to be married to Margot Robbie. But he was married to
I have
Renee
Nick
Zellweger
Offerman and
in,
Jessica Chastain,
yeah, there
so
you
I
go.
don't think
Yeah.
that's any weirder.
Yeah.
By the way, I did watch that Nick Offerman special where he drinks whiskey
He
in front
told
of
me
the
about that
fireplace.
on
I think I've seen that.
We watched all 45 minutes of
Oh,
it
yeah?
over Christmas for whatever reason. And then for Lou, I'm going to go with a female partner for Marge, and it's Tracy Ellis Ross.
Love it.
Okay.
This is Diana Ross's kid.
Oh, really?
And
Blackish.
she's on Blackish.
Yeah.
But she is so funny, man, and she's so vibrant and everything. So I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, I like that.
And she doesn't. I had never before Blackish. I never because she was on that show like it was like called Girlfriends or something for a long time, which is not really my wheelhouse. So I never watched it. But I always like she always like caught you like you caught your attention.
Yeah.
Like if it was just on or whatever, you just saw her on a talk show or something. There's just something about her that's very eye catching.
And that Blackish show, man,
it's so
that's
fun.
that's a good show.
It is. I almost picked when I saw you had picked her. I almost just picked Anthony Anderson. To be like,
I don't know about your police work there, Lou.
Yeah.
You want to do a couple of questions
Let's do
before we
it.
sign
Do it.
off?
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
All right, here's the first question. What is your favorite movie in which two twins are played by the same actor? This person's favorites would be Jeremy Irons, or Jeremy's Iron, in M. Butterfly, good pick, and Nicolas Cage in Adaptation, which is maybe the best
It was
pick.
weird he picked Jeremy Irons but didn't say Dead Ringers. I thought that was odd that he went M. Butterfly over Dead Ringers. Both Cronenberg films.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bizarre.
I thought that was interesting. I'm
Interesting.
sorry. Am I supposed to go?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So I picked a weird one. And partly why I did this is because this dude has played twins or at least like duplicates in 5 fucking movies. He has to have the record.
Yeah.
It's Jean-Claude motherfucking Van Damme.
Yeah.
He loves himself so much that he wants to duplicate himself.
And I'm going with the original Double Impact.
Double Impact.
Yeah, man.
Where he also a reteaming of him fighting Bolo Yen God damn it, I pissed
From
off a lot of-
Bloodsport.
Yeah, from Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is not a very good movie, but this is very much like a 1990 middle budget Hong Kong. I don't know. I mean, for those of you that are a little younger, karate could cure everything.
Yeah, man.
In the late 80s and early 90s, like if and like ninjas were just a thing. Like you would go in the video store and there would be ninjas.
So many ninjas.
Yeah, there were just ninjas.
Actual ninjas were in
there
the
were
video store.
ninjas dressed up. Like they wouldn't even hide it that they were ninjas.
Right. There were so many that you would run into them anyway, and it would just completely ruin the subterfuge.
But seriously, Van Damme and I recently just on the Cinemasins blog, if anybody read that, I recently did a thing on Van Damme, and I didn't pick it for that, but he was just on my mind, I guess, because I had been rewatching.
Well, plus
Van
he's
Damme
done it
films.
5 times.
Yeah, and he's done it 5 times. That's kind of where I went with this. But Van Damme's not a good actor. I know he's not, but I love the guy so much, and I will watch anything he's in.
Yeah,
and I've watched fucking everything he's in, and I saw most of it at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know. That's my pick. It's not. I mean, I know people are gonna think of it, but I was just trying to go a little.
It's a very good one.
I was trying to go outside the box a little bit.
I haven't seen that movie in forever, but I remember it. So I
watched it so many times when I was like
trailer.
14 when it came out. I
just
it so many
remember
times.
I just remember the trailer.
Double
the
the
guy,
Van Damme.
Yeah, double the Van Damme. It's like and there was like the guy like just like you see the trailer, you see that there's 2 Van Dams, but they have to have that one guy go, there are 2 of them. And we actually did an outtake with that trailer on one of our videos at one point, because there's a guy who says there are 2 of them, and I put that double impact thing in there.
And Jean-Claude Van Johnson, which is his show on Amazon right now, totally check that out. That was almost going to be my recommend, but I thought we had to do a movie. So, that's another great show. There's so many fucking TV shows. I don't know how anybody's going to keep up with all this shit.
Yeah. I have one that you don't. I'm sorry. We will be spoiling this movie, even though it's 11 years old and everything. But Christian Bale in The Prestige.
Oh, what?
Oh, nice one.
I've seen it.
You don't know that they're twins, and he doesn't really play off of himself that much.
Right.
So it could be a cheat to say that. But
No,
he
but
does
it's so
play.
good.
He does play twins in this, and he plays it enough. Like especially with the scenes with Rebecca Hall, where she's like, nope, not today.
Yeah.
As far as him being in love with her and everything. Then yes, there's some definitely differences in the performances and everything. It's a little bit of a cheat because we don't see him play those twins, but he does play twins.
Yeah.
And
I
love that about that movie though, because that is such a logical. Because it's so that the one thing about that movie I always find interesting was that's such a logical answer to what's going on.
Yeah,
because you're wondering for most of the movie, is it really magic?
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out, no, it's fucking not magic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because of him doing that, he makes Hugh Jackman so obsessed that Hugh Jackman gets involved with actual magic.
Right.
So it kind of like I don't know. I've always liked that. Like
it's
tandem
they leave all these like little trails of like things to hang on to in The Prestige, because he's talking about the commitment that some of these magicians have and everything. You just never think it's him because they're talking about him becoming a good magician. You don't think he's actually like going through all this amazing commitment right now and everything. And even though his partner is made up and everything, and you see him a couple of times and you're like, that's fucking Christian Bale, what's going on?
Yeah.
It just didn't, like, for whatever reason, when I watched that movie, I've talked about this before, I was like, that's Christian Bale, right?
Yeah.
And didn't even think about it. Just
But it's been a minute since I've seen it, but isn't there even a part like early on where Hugh Jackman's like so obsessed with the trick and he's trying to figure out what the fuck he's doing? Doesn't somebody say to Hugh Jackman like it's a double?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
twin?
Michael Caine
and
does.
then Hugh Jackman's like, no.
Yeah, Michael
exactly.
Caine does. It's like it's a double. It's all. It's the only thing it can be is a double. You know, like
You know I'm the killer, right?
right? Exactly.
Call back to pre-show.
Yeah, that's what's so funny is like in the movie they basically tell you it's a double. But it's like it can't be.
Well, that's what I've always like. Spoiler for Scream. That's why I've always liked Scream. It's like, of course, it's Billy Loomis. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the whole time. I mean, that's the only person it could be. And but at the time, because you're so thinking about older movies, there's no way it's Billy Loomis.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
fucking way.
Exactly.
It's
It's too obvious. Yeah. Billy
cut me
Loomis, what the fuck? The other one that I mentioned, just in case, now this is also kind of a cheat because in Multiplicity, Michael Keaton is not playing twins. He's actually playing four
I
different
thought about that
copies of himself. But the performance across all of those different Michael Keatons is so great.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss not to
You
talk
guys
about
made me
Nice.
rewatch that movie. I had not seen that movie since the theater, and I had no idea people liked that movie. And then, like, I think it was mainly you and Jeremy one night on Twitter started going into Multiplicity chat.
Oh, yeah, man.
Are they talking about Multiplicity, like that fucking Michael Keaton movie from '96?
She touched my peppy.
I rewatched it. It was pretty good.
Yeah. It's not a great movie, but a great premise, and Michael Keaton is so fun. And
Yeah.
that
One thing about 2017 or the last couple of years that I've been really happy about is that Michael Keaton is fucking back.
yeah.
I did not know I missed that dude.
Mm-hmm. He's awesome.
Oh my god, he's so good. Might be the best Marvel villain ever. Although I know you
think
guys
so.
don't agree with me, but
No,
you
I
do
think
agree with
so.
me. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
He's the most fleshed out.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Armie Hammer and the Social Network.
Yeah.
great pick.
Because I actually just found this out recently. I don't know how I missed this, but it's not Armie Hammer's body on his double.
Mm-hmm.
It's some other dude that's like
Oh,
right
that's
around
amazing.
This is-
and they stitched his face on there digitally.
This is
yeah,
something.
let's make sure we digitally.
By the way, this is a technique that they have been doing recently with all the young versions of characters when they young them down, especially in Star Wars, where they do Carrie Fisher. It's an actress that they then put digital, mask over basically, and then that becomes the original actress, quote unquote.
Right.
So they're doing this and they did that with Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're doing this now, and it's kind of frightening. Although Social Network,
But it's not noticeable
Social Network
in
is
Social
so
Network.
fucking seamless.
yeah,
Well, and I gotta be honest, like the first time I watched that, like I didn't know much about the character he was playing because I didn't know much about the actual story, and I didn't know who Armie Hammer was, and I honestly just assumed they were twins.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think my wife told me like before the movie was over that she's like, oh, this is he's doing a really good job playing twins. Like she knew, but I actually just thought they were twins.
There was one point, I think, where the other guy's performance was going to be used, and I think at some point Fincher was like, "No, we'll just use his body, but we're going to put Armie Hammer on
That
there."
would be weird, though. I
Yeah.
mean, he is playing twins, so
Right.
I guess it's possible they got somebody who looks like Armie Hammer.
But the
or whatever.
Winklevoss twins are literally identical.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it'd
I
be weird.
mean, yeah. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know why you would. Yeah, I don't know why you would have somebody who not identical or
Yeah,
whatever. And that's a good.
But
I
he's-
want to
he's
go watch
awesome.
that movie. It's such a great movie.
Yeah.
Such a great movie.
Yeah,
All right,
that's so good.
let's do one more. I love this because there's so many good examples of this. Happy New Year's to you. Thank you. You too. My question for a future episode is, what are some of your favorite underrated unbroken shots in movies? This person's would be the first boxing match in Creed. Really interesting.
Yeah.
pick.
That was a great pick. I like that pick a lot. And Creed is one of those movies that I really liked it the first time I watched it. I think I love it now. That movie
Mhm.
really,
It really
really
is great.
grew. It
Yeah.
gets better and better. I've watched it 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
And that's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing there's 2 that always pop in my head, but he did say underrated, but the 2 that always pop in my head are Rope, of course, Alfred Hitchcock, and which is like, I think it's a series of
Which
like
is about
10-minute shots.
5 unbroken
Yeah.
shots. Yeah.
And then the opening scene in Snake Eyes, Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes,
Yeah.
which is odd. It's so weird that that's such a popular thing because that movie is not popular.
Mhm.
And rightfully so, the movie's not very good.
Yeah.
But that opening scene where Nicolas Cage is like going through the arena, meeting all the people, and you like get introduced to all these people, you know, get all your characters or whatever. But those aren't really underrated, so I just thought I'd throw those out there. But my pick, I was thinking about this a lot today. My pick is going to be Panic Room.
Yeah.
Panic Room, first off, speaking of Fincher, Panic Room, I personally think it's obviously not the best Fincher movie, but I still think it's a great movie. I think it doesn't get enough praise. I think it's a very, very well made thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well crafted, and he has this shot early on where a lot of people I know, because I was reading about it earlier, a lot of people have actually said it kind of turned them off because they thought it was kind of a pretentious shot. But he does this shot where he goes through the townhouse. He goes through Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart, who plays her daughter. He goes through their townhouse, and it does all these things where it like loops through like rafters, and then it like goes through a keyhole.
Yeah,
and it does all these like different things. But what's great about it is it gives you the layout of the townhouse. And so before the home invasion happens, you know this structure like in and out. And then what's great, if you pay attention, and I mean, I'm not saying to like go waste a bunch of hours of your life trying to figure this out, but I don't believe the movie cheats after that. And which I think has a lot to do with Fincher as a craftsman. I think that's very important to him. And so that shot's always kind of stuck with me because I thought that was a really interesting way. It's very Hitchcock, speaking of rope.
Yeah.
And this movie, like if Hitchcock was in 2002, was directing movies, like this could totally be something he would do.
I like that movie a lot.
But for some reason, I think it's the one. I think even like Alien 3 gets talked about more, and Alien 3 is much worse than Alien 3 is bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
I don't know what it is about Panic Room, but like
Jared Leto.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. It's weird. I feel like I've liked Jared Leto a couple of times in movies, but most of the time he puts me off. I don't know what it is. But Panic Room is one of those movies that I think I liked it, but it was disappointing compared to all the other Finchers that had come out.
We saw it together, and I think that's pretty much what you told me. Yeah,
yeah, and so I had seen, you know, Seven was great, The Game was great, Fight Club was great, and then this comes out, and I'm like, it's a little more
traditional.
traditional.
That's the thing. If you take Fincher's movies, like I don't know how many he's directed, maybe 9, 10.
It's somewhere around.
Let's say he's done that. So maybe this is like I would put this above Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
I would definitely put it above Alien 3, but I mean, I would put it above Benjamin Button. I don't know. So maybe it's like 7 or 8. But that's just how great of a fucking filmmaker Fincher is.
And I think it came on recently. I got caught it right at the part where they're trying to smoke them out and everything. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is pretty good. But, like, yeah, so many other parts of that movie, I'm like, I don't know. I need to watch it from the start again.
I mean, and it's 100% just a craft thing because it's not saying anything new.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's probably what kind of threw people off because you had stuff like Fight Club in The Game and stuff like that were kind of like doing different things. Whereas this was more just like, why did Fincher even make this? Like anybody could have made this. But I don't know that they could have because I think Fincher shoots it in a way that makes it interesting. I think his visual eye in this is what makes this movie work.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if just like John Badham had directed it, it would have been Flight Plan.
Yeah. I have a couple. The when this question was asked, it was asked on Facebook. I told the person to say, hey, you need to go see The Player.
Yes.
You need to watch first off watch the movie. The whole movie is amazing. But the opening of The Player is an unbroken shot going around Hollywood and going into all these different little, areas. You have a tour going. Jeremy Piven, very briefly in the movie, is giving a tour of Hollywood. You have the guy, the original writer, The Graduate, pitching Graduate Part 2.
Yeah.
You have all these things. You have Fred Ward at the beginning going, all these movies these days, it's cut. That beginning shot, A Touch of Evil. It's like one unbroken shot the whole time. In Touch of Evil, obviously another great opening unbroken shot. But Fred Ward basically in the middle of an unbroken shot. It's like all this cut.
Exactly.
Cut. It's like, and then the guy, I can't remember what it was. What's funny is this guy brings up a movie that very few people ever bring up, which probably has an underrated unbroken shot, which I've never seen. I still haven't seen. Probably need to see it right after I talk about this. Like he's like, have you ever seen this movie? And it's like some other great, apparently great unbroken shot. And he's like, no, I've never seen that. But Touch of Evil, because that's the one everybody goes to, and everything. But watch the player. Player's great.
The funny thing about that shot, by the way, is the Touch of Evil shot is like 5 minutes or something like that. It may be even longer. Mm-hmm. And the player's unbroken shot is like a minute longer.
Yeah.
Well, and they kept doing that.
And apparently Altman was trying to do
De Palma
that.
did this too, because like another really good underrated shot, a terrible movie, but the opening of Bonfire of the Vanities has the shot of Bruce Willis, because it's in the present, and we go back to the past because Bruce Willis has written this book and he's being celebrated at this banquet. So it goes through, like, there's this unbroken shot. I think it's like 6 or 7 minutes. And then Snake Eyes, though, like 6 years later or whatever, it's 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think at the time that was the longest, without a cut.
I think so. Because even for the modern film, Hitchcock had to stop it after every 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was because that was a reel of film. It was something about the reel of film wouldn't go past that. So but that's really interesting. If anybody's seen Rope, because Rope I think is known, but it's not the most popular Hitchcock film, and it's not the best, but it's a good movie, and it's really entertaining. But I love how he does stuff like they'll open up a case or something, and that'll block the screen, and then they'll shut it in the next one, or they'll open a book, or they'll
go up onto some guy's black jacket, whatever.
Oh, it's so good.
The other one that I thought of on this was, and this one may not be underrated as an unbroken shot, but I don't think people bring it up very much. But there's one in Atonement that is amazing.
That's a great shot.
And it's actually on it's on Dunkirk Beach where this happens. James McAvoy is walking around on Dunkirk Beach, and there's like all this shit just going down on it, and it's it's 5.5 minutes. And I remember like Atonement. Like the movie, I believe, like I think the main plot is essentially Saoirse Ronan sees Keira Knightley and James McAvoy together, and they shouldn't be, and like that's why he ends up going to war and all that. It's really known as the Keira Knightley green dress movie, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really known as that, whatever. But there's a scene where he goes off to war, and it's like this. There's this part where like all this shit is just going down, and it's a 5.5 minute unbroken shot. It's a fucking miracle. Like I don't know how in the world this.
Well,
shot
and what's
got
interesting,
made.
and I read about this one. It was a budgetary constraint too, because they couldn't get a bunch of extras.
Oh, really?
So they had to come up with something else. So it's really cool when you hear about these stories where, like Jaws, like they couldn't get the shark to work. So that's why you don't see the shark. And that's why the movie's scarier.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where they had to sit down and they actually had to come up with something. And then they end up coming up with this, which is so much better than if they just had 1,000 people out there.
Yeah.
Or how many people?
Right. So was it they had to keep on like moving people around?
I guess that's what it was. And which makes it even more impressive that they were able to do it.
But I mean, they
had to make it look like there was more going on than there actually was, because they couldn't afford it.
Because it's not just that it's following them around on the beach and whatever. There's like war stuff going on at the same time. Like I believe there's like explosions.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
and all sorts of stuff.
Or they make you think there is.
Yeah. But that's one that I don't think gets brought up. Atonement is not one of those movies that I think has like, I don't know. It's been one of those that you. Oh wow, it's so.
If I watched it after it got nominated for fucking everything, and I think if I had seen it before, I probably would have liked it more. But I think after it got nominated, I was just kind of like, oh man, that's fine, because it just wasn't that. It was good, but that's a great shot.
Right.
We've talked a lot about the Children of Men unbroken shots.
Oh yeah,
and I want to mention it again because it's so fucking impressive that Chris was watching it not too long ago, and I came in to do something. And we both just kind of stared at it for the duration. Especially this was the last one in the bombed out war zone and everything going down. And we literally, I don't know how long it is, but it seemed like forever, and we were just transfixed. And then all of a sudden, it did cut, and we were like, "Huh."
Yeah.
Even though the tension is still there, it was just like, God damn, that's the first time.
There's a few shots in that movie.
There's 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shot starts with them trying to sneak into this place because it's all this, it could get bombed out anytime and get shot at any point. So they have to sneak into this thing, and then they have to go upstairs, and then they finally find this one dude they've been looking for, and like the camera comes out, and there's like a tank that shoots. Yeah. It's like there's like and like it's just like just a whole bunch of stuff that I cannot believe they timed that. How many times did they have to do this? How many times they had to rehearse this? You know?
Yeah. And one that I want to mention, because I can't go an entire podcast without mentioning Stanley Kubrick, is the close-up of Tom Cruise when Nicole Kidman is talking to him, telling him about the story and Eyes Wide Shut. It's amazing how still he is. And they did this shot hundreds of times, by the way. They did the scene hundreds of times. And it's to hear Cruise talk about it. He's like, Stanley just said, like, yeah, all right, that's okay, but let's try to get to the emotion. And they apparently got to this place where he could literally, you can see everything dawning on his face. And it's just closing in.
And that's awesome. By the way, I'm glad you brought this up, because there are unbroken shots where there isn't a lot of movement or no movement. It's just a still unbroken shot. And when they don't get as much play because there's not as much, going on. They're not as impressive, but still there's a lot of things that have to go right even in a shot like that.
Yeah.
To go ahead and print it.
One of the things I actually thought of, because it does say unbroken, it doesn't say like unbroken tracking or whatever. So I was thinking like just where you're standing in place. And one thing that popped in my head was Walk Hard.
Oh yeah,
where the penis is just like right there by his head or whatever. And I mean, it's long. Well, it seems longer than it probably is, but I mean, it's a minute or like it's a bit.
He's talking to his wife.
Yeah,
hey, baby, I'm just on the road. I'll be home.
And there's just a penis like right there.
Yeah. Hey man, do you want to get any coffee?
Right. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins Facebook page. Go to SoundCloud, go to Reddit, go to our email, go to our Twitter. We got a million things. We got a million places to go and
you can find us.
That's right. And tell us how we did in this episode. We obviously had a lot of Jonathan subbing in for Jeremy today, and we really appreciate that.
Yay!
Hey, no problem. Anytime, man.
But I think that went well.
Yeah, totally,
that
man.
went really well. But anyway, that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Barrett Scheer and Jonathan Watkins. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Like, all these comedies have to have the wacky best friend that says inappropriate shit, because it's Melissa McCarthy, and then it's Catherine Hahn in Bad Moms.
And then it's whatever the chick is. Who's the chick from 22 Jump Street? She's the one in Rough Night.
Oh yeah, it's fucking.
I like her, but I can't.
Because
there's that scene in the Red Band trailer where she's like, "We're gonna get so much dick," and then she's like, "Oh hi, Greg."
Yeah. Who is that? Who is that
What?
from 22 Jump Street? That's in Rough Night.
She's also in Goosebumps, because that Goosebumps was on last night, so that's how I know that.
You talking about the chick that's in Workaholics and like in a ton of stuff?
Yeah.
May or may not be British.
She's got like a real.
I want her to be British.
She's got like a real straight up average girl's name, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I got her.
That's actually one of my favorite parts in 22 Jump Street, though, where are we gonna kiss?
Oh, at the end?
Yeah. When she's fighting Jonah Hill.
Jillian Bell.
Jillian Bell, there you go, yeah.
Although I don't think it then goes into where like everybody feels like they have to kill each other and all that.
It's
like,
Jeremy Piven, though, right? That kills the stripper. I mean, accidentally puts her up on the hook or whatever.
Yeah, because he's like fucking her in the bathroom, and there's like a hook on the bathroom that like he's like nailing her up against the wall, and there's a hook there.
But I think in Rough Night, it's like a Jillian Bell jumps on him. I think that's
Something
what
like
kills him.
that,
So
yeah.
it's going to be like death from a fat woman. That's awesome. It's great.
She's not fat.
No, she's not fat, but I'm saying that's what the movie makes it seem like. She's like, wait, no, it's my turn. And then like they do like the slow-mo, like, whoa, you know.
Fucking hate the slow-mo. I'm going to talk about B-Movie. B-Movie's got a fucking... Every animated...
Did that release today? I hadn't been on
I
YouTube today.
Every kids movie has that. Emoji Movie had it too, where it's like this supposedly hilarious situation where like it slows down, there's some disaster going on. He's like, no.
Yeah, you're right. That is in everything.
It's in Ferdinand too. It's when he's
about
it's
in
to
the
jump
trailer.
on the rabbit. Yeah.
Oh, fuck that. What is the best animated film?
Oh,
I don't know.
Coco. I mean,
I haven't seen that yet.
Coco. I don't even think it's close. I haven't seen Your Name. That's the one I haven't seen. Isn't that the anime that I've heard's really good? I haven't seen that, but I can't even think of anything other than Coco and Ferdinand. I'm trying to think of one I even remotely liked because I didn't like Boss Baby. I didn't like Smurfs. I didn't like Emoji. I didn't like...
Did you see Despicable Me 3?
I hated Despicable
Me 3.
Very
bad. So bad.
That was offensively bad.
Meredith went and saw that with us, and I turned to her like 20 minutes in, because usually she's a pretty good barometer and stuff like this. I was like, this is bad, right? She's like, oh yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I fell the fuck asleep in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was like up late the night before, and I was just like, the only other time I did was Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
I've fallen asleep in many movies.
I'm sure you have.
Mainly,
I never have.
Mainly when I was working at the movie theater and it was like a long day.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like when I first started working at Hollywood 27, I was used to really long nights, and then I went away from Hollywood 27 for a while. Didn't see movies like super late in the wee hours of the morning for a long time, and then when I came back, I remember one of the first movies I watched when I came back to Hollywood 27 was Gangs of New York.
Oh yeah,
and
that's a long fucking movie.
It was like midnight, 1 o'clock, somewhere around there. We started that thing, and I was with a coworker, and there was a point, like it was like halfway through the movie, he turned to me to say like something was cool or whatever, and I was like, and I was tired, man.
That makes me think. I found this old 80s slasher on YouTube that some people had recommended on a podcast, and it sounded kind of interesting. I think I watched it in October. I think one of the titles is A Dorm That Dripped Blood. I think it's also called like Pranks.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very good, but what was so funny is the killer literally goes up to the final girl towards the end, and they haven't actually revealed it yet, but he just kind of looks at her. He's like, "You realize I'm the killer, right?" Like that's how they revealed the killer.
That's badass.
And I was like, this movie's pretty boring, but that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like I will never ever forget that. Like